If you've ever seen a hockey game start with 3 consecutive fights, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday or a synthetic Monday. We've got a truncated week after the President's Day holiday yesterday, but that's not going to stop us. We've got news flow. We've got earnings. We've got economic things happening. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to get through, so let's not waste any more time. It's a T3 Tuesday. Benzinga's pre-market playbook starts right now. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's pre-market playbook, where we get you all set for the market here, get you all ready to go. We'll have all of those great trades lined up. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you enjoyed your long weekend, whatever it is that you did. We got a truncated week here this week, so let's make the most of it. Glass half full approach, as always. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, happy Tuesday morning. Good to see you again. Sun-kissed Yogi, welcome back. Good to see you. Atoljix, I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong, and I'm sorry about that, but good morning. I'm glad you're here. Pestelman, welcome back. Paul, great to see you. Son of God, fisherman of men, let's go. You, welcome back. Couch Potato, welcome back. Big Bees, checking in. Welcome back, boss. Jonathan, welcome back. Crimp Biscuit, welcome back. Steve Leviton, welcome back. All right, you're back from vacation. Time to kill it again. I'm to kill it again, Steve. Really good stuff. Aristox Market, welcome back. Yassine, -6 here today. How are you doing, Yassine? Welcome back. Good to see you. Chuck, welcome back. Captain Obvious AF, love your name. Welcome back. I was built for this. Love the attitude, too. Let's go. Producer, good as always. Reaching Financial Freedom, Diamond Hotline, and Day Trader, checking in early. Ready to go. Eshok, welcome back. Hellcat, welcome back. Drew, it's good to see you, boss. Hustle and Bustle, welcome back. Sebastian, Brandy, and M checking in. There's 3D. We are ready to go. Let's go ahead and talk about the SPY and talk about some of the stuff going on. And like I was saying in the intro, I hope that you folks enjoyed the hockey game on Saturday. There's going to be another one on Thursday. That was awesome. NHL doing circles around all of the other leagues in terms of what to do with their all-star break. Now, when we get to the SPY here, we are set to open up at new all-time highs here today. Okay, so how does it look out there from those new all-time highs? A lot of fear going in here. The last couple of months, oh my God, the market's overvalued. We have a sell-off coming, DeepSeek, tariffs, blah, blah, blah. Market prints new highs. So the question here today is, do we actually move above those new all-time highs? Do we start taking the next leg up? Do we carve that out? Or do we come back in? Do we sell off once the market opens? Do we come back into the sideways range that we found ourselves really since what? The middle of January? And I guess you could go all the way back to the middle of December if you expand that range a little bit. So where are we going? Are we starting a new leg, or are we going back into the range that we're already accustomed to? That's what I'll be looking for here today. Now, the all-time high here, all-time high was 610.99. I have a high print here in the pre-market of 612.18. And it looks as if right now we would open up at 611.89. So we are, or 611.86, I beg your pardon. So we are going to open up here at an all-time high, or it looks like we're going to. We'll see what happens in the next hour and a half. And then we'll see where we go from there. Now, some downside levels. We just talked about the upside level. We got a potential blue sky breakout if we do that. That would be sick. Some downside levels to take a look at. Definitely going to be that 20-day moving average here at 604. That's like 7 points away from where we're currently at. So the market would really have to sell for us to hit that. You'll notice that that lines up about, it's just a point higher than the volume point of control. I know we've recently started talking about volume profile here. So we're going to keep folding that into some of the analysis, and it does look like that level just 1 point under the 20-day moving average. 50-day moving average right down there at 599, but honestly, 600 should provide some better support. And in lieu of some big negative catalyst, I really don't think that we would trade down that far today. But stranger things have happened, so we shall see. Okay, let's dive into some of the news here real quick. And I'd love to hear how you folks are approaching that. Bull God says clear blue skies. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if we pop and go. That'd be sick. ATL Russ, good morning. Checking in. Zane, good morning. Sideshow, good morning. Fairchild, good morning. And Ed, good morning. Okay, so and the Hustle and Bustle saying SPY straddle. So are you basically thinking maybe the move today is to straddle right where we're at and see if we break out in either direction? Let me know what you think. I'm curious. I have no positions on the SPY. I'm curious to see how you folks are trading this and what kind of strategy you have on here. But let's talk about some of the news here real quick. Just some general market commentary here. U.S. stocks are likely to open higher. There is peace talks going on, or at least preliminary peace talks going on for the Russia-Ukraine thing. And I think that actually serves as a potential catalyst here. I'd be curious to know how you folks think this would play out if we do get a resolution to that war between Ukraine and Russia. We had talked about this on the happy hour. There seems to be some mixed results. Seems like most people think that in the near term, of course, that would be a positive, but the market might start looking past it then towards some of the negative things. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you folks think about that. But as far as some of the news goes here, discussions focused on ending the 3-year conflict and improving relations, potentially paving the way for a summit between Trump and Putin. Those would be headlines that I would think would affect the market. Look ahead here. We've got Walmart earnings this week. A couple of other names to really mention there. Obviously, Oxy, Baba, Unity, Rivian. So they're Carvana, Baidu. So there's a bunch of other earnings in here that we're going to watch for this week. The Treasury yield stood there at 450. On 2-year yields at 427. And let's see if there was anything else in here. Yes. Tweet from our good old friend Ryan Dietrich. Such a great name here. We've been pounding the table for broadening out, and we think that this will continue. After a big week in tech last week, all 11 sectors are up on the year, and 7 groups are outperforming the S&P 500. So green arrows across the board. Really, the question that I have is how long can this last? And I'd love to hear what you folks think. Might we get more of a run here? Might we get the next leg up? I know one of the things that we had discussed recently is a potential sell-off point right around the end of Q1 or at the end of the March quarter. So I'd be curious to know what you folks think about that. Are we going to get a sell-off or not? And if so, when? Because that's always the $64,000 question. Okay, next story that we want to take a look at here. Not good, right? This is a Delta. I'm sure you guys have seen the guys and gals, excuse me. I'm sure you've seen the pictures and the video, which is crazy. The videos, which is crazy. Delta Airlines jet overturns at Toronto Pearson Airport amid the snowstorm. 18 injured, 3 are critical but not life-threatening, and miraculously, thankfully, no one lost their life in this. And I'll tell you something, the videos are nuts. I saw the most recent video I seen was a pretty clear one where the plane lands and kind of a rough landing, and then it just rolls over, bursts into flames. I saw videos all day yesterday of people actually getting out of the aircraft, videotaping themselves. I'll be honest, just as a quick aside, my first thought was, well, you just survived a plane crash, which is not a great thing. I mean, it's great that you survived, but not great that you were involved to begin with. And one of the things that you did was reach for your phone. Seemed odd to me, but then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, man, if all that commotion was happening and I wasn't sure what was going on, maybe I'd start recording too. Nonetheless, the end result, the videos are just... I hope nobody has to go through that. I hope nobody has to go through that. And I know we're talking about a lot of recent airline mishaps or crashes. And I think that I just speak for everyone here. We really just hope this ends. One other quick note here. This particular plane, I fly Delta all the time to get from Chicago to Detroit for the purposes of work. Detroit is a huge Delta hub. So it's often very easy to get Delta service to and from Chicago and Detroit. And I got to say, they're fantastic. The flight from everyone, from the gate attendants to the flight attendants to the pilots, Delta is one of the most fantastic experiences that I have as a Midwesterner here in the United States. So I use them all of the time. And the plane involved in this accident is the exact plane that does that route from Chicago to Detroit all of the time. So just an added kind of sick feeling watching this one, at least for me. I am so thrilled that I am not talking about any fatalities here this morning. So in any case, I guess they're still investigating this. It looked like it was just kind of like the hard landing that kind of flipped the plane over. I'm not sure if there's anything that we can necessarily trade from this. I suppose one of the things that we should take a look here at is see where Delta's at. Let me go back to the chart here real quick. Here's your chart of Delta. You can see we were actually at the highs on Friday, and then we held the highs into the after hours. Here we're gapping down a little bit, down about 54 cents, down just less than the percent. Looks like that's already kind of getting bought back here. So that's what's going on. Really kind of scary stuff. Really hope that this ends, and really don't want to see any more of this airline stuff. I know we all have to fly for a number of different things. And it's just, it's brutal. It's brutal. Okay. Weird accident. It's crazy. Yeah, it is. It looked, that looked like at least pilot error. And so that's the other thing. Like if it's pilot error, that's discouraging. That is definitely discouraging. Okay. The plane was a larger model of the DC collision plane. Yeah. And Captain Obvious said, I heard crazy winds. I actually saw that too from the video. The Progressive G saying the accident was due to hydroplaning and poor visibility. You know, I'll be honest with you. I've never really understood how they land airplanes on a snowy runway to begin with. I mean, I've seen Die Hard too. Anyway. Snow and ice on the runway, absolutely. Like I said, just really, this could have been so much worse, and so just really happy that it wasn't. Not sure if there's a trade there on Delta, but that's something to consider for what's going on. Now, the next story here, round of applause for everyone that took Intel. We've been talking about Intel a lot recently. The chart really showed a very, very clear and strong support level right around 19. And now here, the stock is moving pretty well yet again. So we're up another 5%. Actually, let me go back to the chart here real quick. We'll take a quick look at that. Then we'll run the news down here. Intel up another 5.3% or just over 5% here in the pre-market. This thing looks like this was testing 25. We actually printed above it earlier in the pre-market here today. If we take a look at the chart, here's what I was talking about, that 19-ish dollar area. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests of this area. 5 tests of this area, and we were able to hold. You can see that area lines up pretty nicely with the biggest volume shelf that we see on the chart, as well as the volume point of control. You can see that we've recently really started to move on volume. We actually traded right up to the 200-day. We got resistance there the last 2 sessions, but today we are actually above the 200-day right now. We are set to open above that. So this now becomes the big level, or the big key level here in question here today. 2469 is that 200-day moving average. This would absolutely be great news for Intel bulls if we were able to close above that level here today. This is definitely one of the things that I'm going to be looking at here for Intel. And then one of the other things, someone from our happy hour group, we've been talking a lot about Intel recently, but someone else from the happy hour group said, hey, boots on the ground tells me something's going on at Intel. And the stock is now plus 5 points from that. So shout out to the Benzinga crew out there. You guys, it doesn't matter what show you're on, if it's the morning crew, if it's the evening crew, or if it's the during the day crew, you folks are making some good calls and printing some good money there. So Intel, this is really good here. Jumps over 5% in Tuesday's pre-market as deal talks with Broadcom and TMC surface. So again, over the 200-day. That's the crucial part from the chart. We go back to the news story here. The Wall Street Journal reported on Saturday that Broadcom and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing are contemplating bids for portions of the struggling chip maker. Right there on the surface, this to me sounds absolutely great for Intel. Sounds like they're going to be able to advance with the kind of chips that they make. Sounds like this would be an intellectual property injection for Intel. And I think that this would also help just kind of a national security and strategic position for TSMC to use some of the Intel foundries. And in fact, it says here, while TMC, a contract chip maker, has considered acquiring some or all of Intel's chip manufacturing facilities through an investor consortium or a different arrangement. Intel stock has been rising after the previous report stated that the Trump administration is hopeful of TSMC buying a 20% stake in Intel's foundry service business as part of its Made in America plan. So also, investors turned optimistic after Vice President J.D. Vance at a recent AI conference in Paris stated that the Trump administration's plan to implement measures ensuring AI chips are designed and produced in the U.S. This has been a common theme here. Intel, to me, seems like the no-brainer beneficiary of all of that. We're getting some more news here today, and now you actually have a really intriguing chart carved out here. Can we stay above that 200-day? Can we get our first close above that 200-day? That would actually set up a potential trade for the rest of the week here. If we can get that again on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think that would be some pretty solid support, and we can kind of move from there. So really good stuff here with Intel. Definitely a bit of a victory lap for our crew here at Benzinga because you folks have been doing awesome. Bringing the news to everybody and sharing it with people. It's been absolutely fantastic. It's been absolutely fantastic, and Intel has been one of those. Okay. Dal1, you were saying, I think the folks that were videotaping the crash, I think they want proof to show that they were in a crash. This is kind of what I'm thinking too. I mean, God forbid, if I ever survive a plane crash, I would want photo evidence that I survived that too. We'll see. Anyway, Intel here. We'll see if we get some trades here today. I'm curious, did anyone take this trade? Is anyone invested in Intel for the long term? Does the news move you in one way or another? Let me know what your thoughts are here on Intel. You can see that the Benzinga proprietary ratings here really starting to turn positive. High rating here on the technical analysis and the fundamentals, which we have covered at length being poor, really starting to turn around here. That would be better still on some of this investment from TSMC. So really good stuff there on Intel. All right, next story here. GOP mega donor Ken Griffin, who I know a lot of traders here really, really don't like, myself included, scores a 77% return on Palantir despite trimming the stake. Easy for me to say. Palantir, one of the show favorite stocks here. This has been an absolute huge mover for us. We started trading this in the 30s. Stock's over 100 now. Looks like it's really, really pushing here. This story here just showing you how much some people made here. Citadel cut 13% of its Palantir Technologies holdings during the fourth quarter, but the shares held increased in value by 14.5 million or 77% during the quarter. So it looks like they didn't even sell at the top, and the stock kept going here. So they increased their stake in Alphabet. I suppose that doesn't really come as a surprise to anybody here. The producer threw the thing in here because there's a chart in here I'd like you folks to have. 3-digit growth was witnessed in holdings of Apple, Meta, and Amazon. No surprise there. 3 of the top stocks in the show favorites here. And interestingly, slashed stakes in Tesla and NVIDIA and Microsoft. So the NVIDIA one seems like everybody's doing that. Tesla one, I suppose, comes as a bit of a surprise. And then here's a table here for some of those holdings here. So there you go. I was seeing earlier today, I believe Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, is going to be on TV today talking more about that. There's some more stats in here about Palantir. So that stake was trimmed, ended up not mattering. Higher we went. Okay, next, and I guess we should probably take a quick look at Palantir here, see if there's any type of trade on the chart. Let me get that rolling up here. Really, the question that I have here is, when are we coming back in on Palantir, right? When are we coming back in? When are we going to have a pullback? With the last pullback, I really think is after we really kind of gapped up here. The stock looks like it took a break for one day. and then it was right back to going north. So I guess we did have a very, very small pullback for one day here. Palantir extremely extended, as we've discussed on the daily chart here. 79 RSI. We're what? Let's see how far away are we from that 200-day moving average? 61+% away from the 200-day moving average. Just crazy. Okay. Sunkissed Yogi, I'm in Intel Leap, so this is great news. That was actually a great way to trade that, by the way. I think that was probably the best way. Really good stuff. Seems like you're killing it on that. Okay. Well, let's talk about the next story here. Everyone's favorite. Who's ready for some GameStop shenanigans? Right? I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear if you folks are still trading GameStop. This thing seems like it continues to make some news here. Ahead of GameStop's Bitcoin purchase plans, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and other billion-dollar funds load up on GameStop stock in Q4. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't actually participate in the whole GameStop craze, but wasn't this kind of a way to stick it to some of the big funds? How does the calculus change if some of the big funds are taking large stakes in GameStop? Someone will have to explain that to me. I'm not quite sure. Big billion-dollar funds increased their stake in GameStop during the fourth quarter of 2024, following a third quarter which it held 4,616 billion in cash and cash equivalents. This comes as recent reports suggest the video game retailer is planning to add Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to its treasury reserve there. Here you go. UBS Group, huge holdings here, a change of 1,635%. Citadel has over 100 million in holdings there. BlackRock has over $1 billion in holdings here. And recently, speaking of shenanigans, here's Buddy, by the way, whoever was saying that they missed the cat. He's joined the office here today, too. Speaking of shenanigans here, we've got Ryan Cohn taking pictures with Michael Saylor. They're trying to change their name to Strategy, right? So I shouldn't call him MicroStrategy. Anyway, Michael Saylor here, pictured with Ryan Cohn. Peter Schiff out here talking smack about it. So likely going to go in the opposite direction. That seems to be common for this. So GameStop here, I'm curious. I want to know, do any of you folks believe this whole GameStop story? Like, do you folks like trading GameStop? Is this anything that gets you moving? Day trader here. I'm in GameStop for a small swing, red right now. Okay, so there you go. That's short-term trade. Seems like you have your risk defined. Seems like you're not going too big into it, but you are trying to play some of this. So, okay, that seems reasonable to me. 4,000 billion. Wow, that's a big number. It's also not what I expected, right? Not what I expected to read there, but yeah, huge number. Anyway, GameStop, how are we actually doing on the chart? Let's take a look here and see where we're at, see if we can discern some key levels here for GameStop. First of all, on this news, stocks up just shy of 1% here today, up about 0.9% at 27, let's see, 27.24, 27.31 right here. So the candle here from Friday, that just basically tested the 50-day moving average and we've pulled back from there. So a couple of key levels to look at where we're at right now. First of all, to the upside, the two that stand out to me, the $28 level, you can see that we actually have the large volume shelf and the volume point of control at 28.03. That $28 level should be fairly significant today and seems like that is totally within reach as it's only 70 cents away. We also, another 70 cents away from that, we have the 50-day moving average. So you can see, especially recently, GameStop has really, since it lost the 50, it's had a horrific time trying to close back above that 50. It's actually tested above 1, 2, 3 times, all 3 times unable to close above it. So this is going to be your game plan here today for GameStop, especially day trader. I don't know what type of, I know you said it was short term here, but I'm not sure what type of how short or how long that is. But it does seem like we could have a move back up towards, let's see, maybe even get above 30 and maybe towards these 34 highs. If we're able to get a close above that 50, that's been very, very stubborn here, pretty much all of 2025. So we'll see if that changes. But this is currently where we sit on GameStop. So yeah, would love to hear if you folks have any trade plan on that. Captain Obvious AF says, I'm confused by their business model at the moment. You know what? That makes two of us, because I certainly don't get it. You know, I know that they were talking about this being, you could basically just use the existing GameStop stores, and if you turned it into a Bitcoin currency reserve, you basically have outlets where people can go get and transact Bitcoin in person. All that stuff sounds fine on paper. I'm with you. I'm not necessarily sure what their business model is and where they go from here. But that's why I'm asking you folks. I'd love to get an idea of how you're actually trading this, or what you think of some of these future prospects. All of that stuff would be interesting. So let me know. Okay, next, China's Xi Jinping supports a supportive appearance sparks Chinese tech rally for a second day. Alibaba, Xiaomi surge over 4% on the Hong Kong exchange. The big takeaway here is Alibaba. I tell you what, China stocks have really caught a bid recently. We talked about Alibaba and a potential 120 spot here, I believe, with Mark Petrino on Friday. Bang, bang. Looks like we've actually traded above that here. And now we're testing this, 124, 125-ish area. This goes all the way back to 2022. So pretty awesome move recently on Baba here, right off that 200-day. We actually, to be technical here, we actually recaptured the 200-day. That really juiced this thing. Obviously, we had news from David Tepper changing around his portfolio and all of that. And Baba here, volume looks really good. My big concern on this one, we are definitely extended, at least in the near term. RSI really, really hot here, 84.41 on the daily, still 73 on the weekly, although that spot, that 138.67, that 500-week moving average, that actually looks like a spot we could test if this does continue there. So maybe add that as one of your upside levels, another 14 points. Oh, actually, excuse me, with 128.42, another 10 points from where we're at here. Here's your monthly chart. Not quite overbought on the monthly, but getting there. And this also has your 100-month moving average at 147.5. So there could be some two potential upsides here for Baba. Does look like we were able to get above the 120 hurdle fairly easily. And so Baba looking pretty good here. Also, thanks to my producer here, I actually didn't catch this in real time, but Jack Ma made an appearance. They was spotted here. I think, was that during it was a meeting with the business leaders. Jack Ma was there. So it's what a 4-year disappearance. Jack Ma disappeared for the better part of 4 years, and then all of a sudden he's back. So okay. We'll see if that's a positive thing for Baba. And then let me know, folks, if you are trading any of these Chinese names, let me know which one and why. And maybe there's others we want to take a look at, like Pinduoduo or some of the other names. You folks, let me know. Also, we had Baidu earnings. So I guess we'll go from one Chinese name to the next here. Oops, that typed in the wrong ticker. I was like, why does that look different? That's wrong. Here's Baidu. No. This is not the right stock. Come on. BIDU. Baidu. There. Easy for me to do. So, okay, Baidu here down 3%. Baidu Q4 adjusted ePads 263 beat the 178 estimate. Sales of 4.67 billion beat the 4.56 billion estimate. You can see Baidu actually sinking here and looking like this might want to snap 94 and go lower. It says the conference call is ongoing right now, so maybe we'll get some more news out of Baidu. I'll be honest, even when I do take some of the Chinese stocks as a trade, Baidu, not one that I trade very often. Much prefer Baba and Pinduoduo. So help me me out here, any of you Baidu traders out there. Let's see if there's anything else that stands out here. Not really. Baidu a little soft here, minus 3.31% here in the pre-market. Alps is saying PDD is a good name. I guess we could take a look at that real quick while we're looking at some of these other China big cap tech names. Here is Pinduoduo. Let me zoom in to where we were at recently. Pinduoduo also making a really great move. You can see we identified a trend here going all the way back. So this is shortly after the yen carry trade unwind. I believe actually Pinduoduo had earnings here shortly after. Anyway, we've really kind of been sticking on this trend. So we did pull back here. Great. We made a series of higher lows here. And recently we've pushed up off that area and now got several closes above the 200. So what I'd like to see here looks like PDD up 2% here in the pre-market, so a good start to the day here. But one of the levels that I'd really like to see both today and tomorrow is a close above this 122.76. Again, about 4 points above it now, so looking pretty good. If we can get 3 closes above this 200-day, we can really kind of firm this up as support, and then we can start talking about some other areas in upside. I do think this 135 might be an area. It's not a whole lot of trading in here. Remember, Mark was telling us about gaps on Friday, and we had a couple of charts in there that had some pretty good ones. We do have this one candle from October 22nd, but I would imagine that that's not really going to have any key levels in here. So if Pinduoduo really gets going, I really think 136, not out of the question. Not out of the question at all there. PDD. So if you have a trade plan on PDD, Baidu, or Baba, I'd love to hear how you folks are actually attacking that here today. All right, folks. It's a T3 Tuesday. You want me to add Tesla? You know what? We'll take a look at that. We can actually look at that. Let me add that to the list of stocks that we'll take a look at after. But in the meantime, it is a T3 Tuesday, so put your hands together for our guest, Christian Tharp. Let me go ahead and bring him on. Christian, happy Tuesday or synthetic Monday or however it is that you look at it. Happy start to the new week here. How you doing? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I tell you, trying to keep warm. We got nailed pretty good with some snow here, so we're still unshoveling a little bit, but happy the market's back open, that's for sure.
So where are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, okay, right, and what kind of temps did you have on the mercury dial today?
I think we had 5, a nice balmy 5 outside.
Okay. When I woke up, it was -5 here today. And when I did my run yesterday, it was 3. So I'm with you there on the cold temps. We got them here. Hopefully the market can keep us warm here today. I too am glad that it is open. Real quick, folks, sign up for Christian's free webinar on February 19th. That's tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. New administration, new market, how to trade in 2025. Christian, let me just start right there. With more volatility, seemingly more volatility here in 2025, how are you handling this?
Well, I tell you, it's kind of I don't want to say a play on words there, but what I will be encouraging everyone to do is to remember that the more things change, the more they stay the same when it comes to trading. And what I mean by that is obviously a whole lot of what ifs and this and that, and we're going to do that. What I will be encouraging everybody to do, just remember, trade the market. Don't get too caught up into, news feeds and narratives. And at the end of the day, I do agree with you. I think there's going to be some heightened volatility this year. Mm-hmm. And there's no reason we would trade it any different than, say, any other time. So that's kind of where we're leading with that.
Okay, whether it's one country fighting with one another, a specific company being named in the news flow, tariffs being taken on, used as a negotiating tool. I mean, the list seems to be endless. So with that, what are you looking at here in the near term? You got anything that you got your eye on for a potential trade?
Well, first I got to say IO for Go Steve D up there. So I can't let that go without answering him. But
okay, got you.
Yeah, I can't let that go. So we had called gold on its breakout. We thought gold was running to about 3K, and we've gotten the bulk of that move, but we still think there might be some left in gold.
Okay.
So we use the GLD to trade it. Obviously, we're not out there going and buying bars or anything like that. But the other, we are now keeping our eye on the TLT. I know that sounds crazy with the way yields have been going and everything, but if you pull that up, you've got yourself a nice little down channel on the TLT over the past. You can see it almost perfectly right there over the past few months, and it is knocking on the door of a breakout there. Yep, there you go.
Got
And
you.
so we are keeping our eyes peeled on that for the break. As a matter of fact, we kind of entered a kind of a starter position, if you will, anticipating that break because there's some very, very big monthly momentum, positive momentum divergence on the TLT, implying that there could be a nice little break here coming soon. So TLT is something we're definitely looking at to get long.
Okay, let me ask you, do you have any target to the upside here on the TLT? So first of all, you're absolutely right. The potential breakout here literally jumps off the page. You have any target that you'd be looking for this to trade up? I mean, I see the 200-day here just shy of 93. That actually lines up really nicely with our volume profile, which we've been taking a look at as a group for the past couple of weeks. But any like target price or move that you're looking to capture here?
You bet. You bet. We're looking for that 100 to 102 area.
Okay.
That's an area that we've looked at in the past that goes back a ways as an area of interest, as I like to call it. And so we would think at minimum we're targeting that area. You start taking out that area, and we start looking way up at the 110s and such.
Okay, awesome. So I'm actually just going to mark that off on here because we do actually talk about the TLT quite a bit here. 100 to 102 area. We'll put that here on the chart. I tell you what, this makes a pretty good breakdown here. What do I have this at? 80, 90-ish. Let's call it 89, 90. A little break of this trend line down there. That actually gives you a pretty good move there. 10 point move up to that area. So okay, awesome stuff. Anything else you got?
Well, there's a few other, we're keeping an eye on Apple. Okay. So just kind of pivoting completely here. Apple having a great week last week, just seemingly up every day. Seems like it's making a move at that 247 where it stalled at a couple weeks ago and a couple weeks before that. Looks like it wants to get to that 247. And if you can take that 247 out, you got to be thinking getting to that high of 260 again.
Absolutely. So I'm literally looking at the chart here as you're saying that game plan. This would be exactly how I would trade this here. I actually might even look at a stop below that 50 if you get a close beneath it on that particular trade. But here you go. This is going to be your candle from January 31st. That's going to be your 247-ish high. I'm with you there. This is actually a former former support area that's now turned resistance. I think if we break that, that does send us to 260 here. Do you think we print new all-time highs in Apple?
It's sure looking like it. Last week it was unstoppable. And even though, on the calls that I do every week, we've been a little bit, I've been kind of just cautioning everybody for this year because I do think we need to be careful about, we don't just go up every week forever, right? So we're going to have a correction. You're going to have these things. But all that being said, I still think there's no matter what, there's some more highs coming. Apple looks like it wants to play some catch up here. So I kind of feel like this is something that you take that 247 out, you're hitting new highs, I would think, unless something has happened to the market to yank it down.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right there. And I'll tell you what, Apple has also been one of the stronger tech names on days where we've seen tech under pressure. Apple has done a really good job holding its gains or holding its level here. Folks, again, we're on with Christian Tharp from T3, easy for me to say. Sign up for Christian's free webinar tomorrow, February 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern, new administration, new market, how to trade in 2025. Christian, we got a couple of stocks that the viewers are asking it for here. You mind if I just roll through them?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, let's start with Tesla. I know that this is one of Red Dog's favorite. This is actually one of everybody's favorite. It seems to be valuable, really volatile, provide a lot of trades. Got a really awesome bounce off this 100-day recently. What are you seeing here in the Tesla chart as far as some of those key levels are?
Absolutely. And are you really a trader if you're not trading Tesla? Just you got to be trading Tesla or where are you? But so, yeah, there's a few things we're watching here. One is the old 360. If you look at the old 360 before the break to the final highs, there's a 360 shelf that goes right through. And you'll notice that's where we stalled on Friday. So if we can take that 360 back out, then we think there's some more juice there. If you give yourself a little trend line over top of those highs as well, you'll kind of see where you might come in for a target. So take out 360. I think you have enough juice to get back up to that line. I don't know that I believe that sell-off is over yet. I think that you could see something in that 300 area, maybe even lower. If you look down there and I think it's around the 260, there was an old breakout point back there as well. So I don't know that I think that the sell-off is over. I do think that if, again, You take that 360. I think you then can kind of go a little bit higher, but I'd be cautious on more downside. Take out that trend line you just drew, and I think we can maybe put a fork in the sell-off.
Okay, that's okay. I first of all, I love anytime someone gives me a if this then that in multiple ways. That's my favorite, right? Because that gives us multiple avenues to trade the stock. I think that's spot on here. A couple of other key levels right around some of these areas to mention. We've got the 20-day moving average at 381 and change, and the 50-day moving average right there at 402. So with there on Tesla, we'll see what we get. This is speaking of volatility. And the new administration, this thing's going to be no stranger to some of that moving around. I like what you were saying earlier. If you're not trading Tesla, what are you actually doing? I'm someone that over the course of my career, I've been doing this 10 plus years now, and over the course of my career, I've struggled with Tesla, so I kind of just backed away from it. But I'll tell you something, the end of 2024 and this year, it has been back with a vengeance, and even dummies like me are able to trade this. So pretty good stuff. I'm with you on that one. Next stock that I definitely have a question for you here is going to be NVIDIA. This has been one of the darlings for several years now. I don't know why I still have this head and shoulders drawing on here. This thing negated it completely. You see anything here in NVIDIA? We talked a little bit about some of the news earlier with TSM and Intel, and I'm not sure how much that really plays into NVIDIA, but what do you see here in NVIDIA's chart?
Yeah, to me, it kind of, and by the way, I had that same head and shoulders for a while, and then it just kind of turned into a mess.
Yep.
That recent drop to lows here, kind of, if you just kind of pan out a little bit, it just kind of has the look of something wanting to go lower.
Yeah.
That being said, it's obviously recovered quite a bit, but you start running up into that zone again up there where it's just a lot of resistance zone more than a price up in that area. So it's not something that gets me too excited about getting long here. As a matter of fact, SMCI is one that I think I like a little bit better watching. And I know it, has had its rough go, but it's been recovering quite a bit. And it sure looks like today it's going to try to take a shot at that $50 mark. And if it takes out that 50, if you remember the old 700, which is now a 70 level from back in the day, you take out 50 here, there's no reason why you couldn't be running back to 70. So we kind of pivoted away from NVIDIA and came over to some things that are in the universe of NVIDIA. And this is where something we're keeping an eye on this week.
Okay. So the SMCI chart here does look pretty appetizing, up just shy of 7% here in the pre-market. So in the pre-market here, it's actually trading above 50. To your point, we'll see if we can hold above that level and maybe get some juice when the regular session opens here. Got that 200-day at 53.5. That would be awesome to take out on the way up to that 60, 70 level. Let me just ask you, one of the things we've been kicking around here in the trading desk in this show is this something that you can really trust, right? We have a whole bunch of these accounting issues. I think that they said that they were going to report their missed quarterly report by the February 25th deadline. And I think that was news that we got last week or the week prior. So do you feel okay holding this one? Or is this more short-term for you? Yeah. How do you square all that?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It'd be very much a short-term thing for, at least in our world, if this thing takes out 50, we're probably trying to grab a quick type of swing move on it and then backing away and seeing where we go from there. If by chance we decided to be in it a little longer, again, we'd be maybe interested enough to 70, and that's where we'd call it a wrap and, kind of, again, back away.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff here. Again, on with Christian Tharp from T3 here. Sign up for Christian's free webinar tomorrow, February 19th, 1 p.m. Eastern. New administration, new market, how to trade in 2025. I've got one more question for you here on a stock that is pretty volatile. Volatility seems to be the theme of what we're talking about here. And then it's going to be Carvana. This is we get asked about this all of the time. This stock provides all kinds of different trades, both to the short and the long side. Actually, looks like we've got a pretty decent cup handle and now a breakout here. Stock reports earnings tomorrow after the close. Do you have any type of gut feeling or setup here on CVNA Carvana?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was one of the last ones I had on my list here. The because we were watching it last week, it seemed like it really struggled a lot around 260 before, obviously, last week and the week before taking that out. So taking out that 260, our target at that point was 300 is the next most obvious number on the way up. But then, like you said, you start mixing in earnings. But what I see, it seems very commonly sometimes, you'll see stocks kind of tip their hands a little bit going into an earnings. If we break out before earnings, not uncommon to see it then continue on, almost as if the market's saying, look, we're ready to go. Just let's get these things out there type of thing. But certainly when it comes to earnings, I'll be first to admit that, you never know. But I like it to go higher. We had our eye on it. The breakthrough 260, we think 300 at minimum is still coming, at minimum.
At minimum. Okay. Awesome. And frankly, it looks like just a quick look here, options pricing in a $37 move.
Yeah.
Wow. So this thing definitely going to be volatile. Okay. Christian, really, really good stuff. I know we kind of blitzed through some charts there. Excellent job as always. Again, folks, if you like what you hear here from Christian, be sure to check out that free webinar. It's free. QR code on the screen. Link is in the chat. Christian, thanks so much for the time here on this Synthetic Monday. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll check in with you next time.
You bet, Ryan. Thanks for having me. I always enjoy coming on.
All right, that is Christian Tharp from T3. I'll tell you what, the T3 guys are absolutely aces. They do a great job all of the time. We're lucky to have them. Let me know, folks, if you like any of those stocks that he was talking about or any of those setups. Looks like we have a lot on our plate here. So, okay, really, really good stuff there. Christian leaves room for 13, and I know that you folks were super excited. You could not wait to get enough of 13. Let's bring him on and see how we're doing. 13, happy Tuesday, or as I just said to Christian, Synthetic Monday. How was your weekend, man? How you doing?
I'm sick.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I wish I would have known that. I would have been less energetic, maybe giving you a little bit more time to get ready there.
It's fine. No, everything was going great over the weekend. Had a great Saturday, and then I get home and go to sleep. I wake up Sunday, and I'm just not feeling great at all. So I spent the past couple of days just nursing myself back to health so that I could come here and talk stocks with all of y'all.
Okay. Well, I'll be honest with you. You don't actually sound bad at all. So
I'm feeling a lot better than I was.
Yeah, whatever. Good on you. Good on you for shaking that up here. Okay.
Airborne. It does the trick.
Yeah, it sure does. Emergency, airborne, all of that stuff. Have some of it. All right, where do you want to go here today? We did have some news here. Pretty much covered all of it.
Okay.
And I don't really think anything else is breaking here. Do you want to do movers? Do you have any charts? Do we want to ask the chat what they want to take a look at? Looks like Chris is already on PRFX.
There was no 100% runners this morning. So we could just go over a couple of movers that I was looking at, and then we could move on to some whatever the chat wants to take a look at.
Okay, let's do that here. I think what I'll do, 13 is I'll start with PRFX here just because the chat brought it up. Also, and you know what, Day Trader, I'm sorry. I know that you had mentioned this when I was on with Christian and I was just rolling and I went right over it. Apple has some kind of event this week with a new product of some sort. We did hear about that, right? What day is that? I appreciate you bringing this up because I actually forgot real quick.
What is it, like one of their M5 notebooks? Is that could that be it? Because I don't know that they're coming out with anything groundbreaking.
Yeah, it's that and that's kind of where I was going. The specifics of that, I guess, are not terribly important. I don't think this is going to be like a groundbreaking thing. And I'm sorry, I can't really find that here in the news. You know what? I should have been more prepared for this, Day Trader. You got me. You got me. But let me look that up. Let me figure out, see if I can get some more context on that. Chat, help me out if we have that. If you guys have that stuff. Anyway, let's start here with PRFX. I know that you said that there were no 100-point runners or 100% runners so far, but PRFX, this actually might be gearing to be just that. You can see here, we actually did spike early in the pre-market, gave everything back, went green to red, and now the volume is taking us higher. It looks like we actually tried to print 5 there, couldn't quite do it. Pain Reform shares are trading higher after the company announced it will acquire Deep Solar. Terms not yet disclosed. Okay, I'm going to have to do some quick research here. I have no idea what Deep Solar is. What?
I'd say be careful. I mean, it's running. Okay, so it's a stock is running, and it's going to acquire a company. So I would look at their financials. Can they, are they going to have to raise capital, or are they going to What I mean, I don't even know how much Deep Solar is worth. We don't even have the terms disclosed. I
Yep.
think there's a little bit more of an elevated risk here trading this.
Yeah. Okay. And I think you're onto something there. Real quickly, 7.5% of the float shorted. Only only 1 day to cover. A day to cover. So maybe there won't be a whole lot of squeeze action in here, but we'll
Very
see.
small float.
Very, very small float. Exactly. 860,000 shares. Now, you were asking about the financials. That's a really good question. Looks like they're still cash flowing negative quarter over quarter, and they only have 2.7 million $2.7 million on the balance sheet. So 13, to your point, how are they going to finance this?
Well, there is some news back from the beginning of the year where they exercised warrants. So they got money from that.
Okay.
So that's not showing up on their balance sheet yet. But again, I don't know what this company they're acquiring is really worth. Deep Solar, but not enough information. And this looks to be a clinical trial. I don't even know what Deep Solar is. Do you have any idea what Deep Solar?
No, that's. Let me see if we can find that here, because sometimes they say right in the Deep Solar, an AI-driven solar analytics platform owned by BLRN.
Okay.
They're going to acquire 100% of the business activity. Compelling and high opportunistic move for pain reform. Okay, that's very general. Well, there you go. Deep Solar, cutting-edge AI-powered analytics company that optimizes the efficiency and profitability of solar energy assets.
I'm just trying to see where this could run to.
I'm almost more confused now, honestly. And by the way, so first of all, it's okay, day trader. I actually should have had those notes on for Apple. I didn't plan on covering Apple here today, but that was a really good question regarding what to expect from this Apple event, which is tomorrow. I think we're looking for a 4th gen iPhone SE, so one of the smaller iPhones, just kind of refreshed. A new iPad, so I guess if iPads are what you're interested in, maybe this will be a big event tomorrow. And a new MacBook Air tomorrow. That I don't think is going to be as much of a mover, because it's the MacBook Pro that really gets it done. But anyway, we can get back to Apple. We can discuss that at a later date. 13, I'm sorry. I think I just ran you over there.
No, it's okay. I'm just trying to, figure out if we can, how we can trade PRFX, because, I don't think the news is really reliable. We don't have enough information. So I'm just going to the technicals, trying to see what I can find here. Looks like 680 could be a potentially, a potential resistance area. Maybe 750 as well. We still have to get there, folks. And I think if we break 575, we could see those levels. So let's start with 575, see if we can even get there. And if we do, then maybe 680 and 750 is possible as well. And I'll even start throwing out the real stupid levels if we break 750. Okay,
perfect. You promised. That's what we'll do. Really good stuff there on PRFX. Okay, let's see. You guys are already trading this. That's awesome. Looking really good. Okay, and can we take a look at Dollar Tree, DLTR? Yeah, Brandy, we can absolutely. I'll add that to the list here. I'll add that one to the list. Okay.
SLDB was the other one I was starting to look at. So this one is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's take a look at this. SLDB, Solid Biosciences. Solid Biosciences shares are trading higher after the company announced initial data from its phase 1/2 Inspire Duchenne trial for SGT-003. I'm assuming that you looked into all of those buzzwords there. Bless up, son, because I didn't have time to do that. Percent of float shorted here. 13.2% of the float shorted with 5 days to cover. So this actually does have a little bit more squeeze potential than PRFX, the last stock that we took a look at here. Float 20 million, so maybe it won't be moved around as much. But 13, what are you thinking here? Does any of this make sense? Looks like we also had an offering.
Yes, that's what I was going to get to. I want to make sure that everybody knows that they should not hold on to this thing. Trade this however you want to trade it. Do not hold on to this through the end of the day, because this, if you look at the offering and if you read into it, you'll find that they are going to be exercising warrants and they're going to be closing this or trying to close this offering by tomorrow. And I think we did get some reaction to that when the news came out, because you can look at like a 5 or 1 minute chart and see how at 7 o'clock the stock just immediately dropped, but they kind of shook off that offering news and just pushed it higher. I think this is just something that we're going to, look for setups, try to trade today, and then just not even look at it or worry about it when we're done trading, because tomorrow they're going to exercise the warrants, their float's going to explode, and they're going to have more cash on hand, but the stock's going to be a little bit of a heavier item to trade.
Okay, now looking at this here, first of all, it's great that so far we've stayed above the VWAP. That's wonderful, but really good outline from you on kind of breaking this down. The other takeaway here is it looks to me like I'm at least glad that they kind of PR'd this, right? That first of all, they've priced an offering. You had mentioned that they wanted to get this done by tomorrow. It doesn't seem like they're trying to hide what they're doing. So I think that puts the ball in our court. Do you think that's fair?
I feel like they tried to sneak it in just because they had the data come out, and then 15 minutes later they announced the pricing of the offering. Okay, and then they sent out more data.
Maybe I'm trying to give them too much credit, but at least we know that this is on deck here. So folks, keep yourself protected. Yeah. If this is something that you want to avoid because of that makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. Next here on the list is EFOI. This is energy focus. We have definitely traded this one off of the relative volume scanner in the past. I can't recall if there was a specific news event that made us get rolling on this one, but I know that we've traded this off of the scanner before. Shout out Benzinga Pro Scanner. No news on this one. 4 million in the float. Energy efficient lighting systems and controls. Pretty much nothing in terms of short interest here. Nothing in the float short, less than 1%. 3 days to cover here, but that's just because the stock trades 9,000 shares on average. Today we've traded 18 million. So I would say this: don't be caught. Don't be the last one to turn out the lights here. If you're going to trade this one, make sure you're out of this before the volume really kind of dries up. Otherwise, you might not even be able to get out of your position here. Let's take a look here at the chart. So we did lose VWAP, but so far we've done a really good job holding above 2. I guess we could call this 206. But really, as long as we stay above 2, maybe we do have a move in here. 13, I know there's no news here. You got anything on this one?
I think it's just moving on relative volume, but the company gets most of its money from military maritime products. So I'm feeling like that may be an angle, but I don't know exactly why it's running other than just the relative volume. Because it seems like this is quite a more of an outsized move than for relative volume, but it is what it is, and it looks like it's kind of going sideways for now. So as long as it doesn't lose $2, it could still provide some more upside. But I think we'd want to pay attention to particularly to the 207 level. That's where it seems to have been getting support all morning. So that would be the level to watch for. Yeah, like I said, no real news here, but I think it's just moving on relative volume. It looks like it. Let me just go to a different chart here. It looks like it had price action on Friday. Let me see here. No, that's Tuesday. That's all Tuesday. So everything that happened on Friday was the only reason, the only thing that's providing the relative volume. I have no idea why this is otherwise.
Me either. I think you outlined some of those levels there perfectly. I think that $2 level is one we can trade against here today. I think if this thing really comes back in, there's a high probability it comes back down to this 120. Look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, there's 7 to 11 different tests of this 120 area. I wouldn't want to sit around and wait for that to come back in. We'll see if it does hold that there. EFOI, no, not a whole lot of news, but this is getting rolling here. So I guess we'll see if there's a trade here on this. All right, next is going to be GCL. This is GCL Global Holdings. So this is a new issue here. We did have some news here on Friday. It acquired 20% of NECCOM. NECCOM. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think I am. NECCOM, and obtained global purchasing rights for its upcoming game, Showa American Story. What on earth is going on here? GLC and RF Acquisitions complete a business combination. That was the PR that we got on Sunday. GLC to commence trading on NASDAQ under ticker GLC. So here we go. Stock's up 41% here today. Again, with a new issue here, I was going to say I don't really think we have a whole lot of data. Got no float, no short interest data here. This might be a tough one here. I only have 1 day worth of data from Friday. We're much higher here. We popped up to 9, pretty much almost round trip this entire move. I'll be honest, I don't have anything on this one. I know this is on the list here, but not enough information. Do you?
No levels, no nothing. Really just kind of gonna have to draw on what the price action we've had for the past day.
Yeah,
I think there's only 1 day that we've actually seen any trading, right? So yeah, I don't know where this goes. Let me see if I can see anything on my broker.
And I also wonder how thin this is, right? 13. That's that. Looks here in the pre-market, we're only spread 3 cents, so maybe this will be able to be traded here today. I just don't know enough about it.
No. Okay, so this was a SPAC then, right? That's what I'm getting, because I'm seeing that GCL and RF Acquisition Corp.
Complete their business combination. Yeah.
So in my mind, this thing's going lower. That's just the way. I mean, this is going to de-SPAC. There's no other way to say it. I think this. I don't know if it pops back up to maybe 5.5, where it was getting some support, like on.
So real quickly here, RFAC. This was the company that is listed in there. This thing plummeted on Thursday prior to that. So I think you're right on that.
Yeah, I think there could be.
I would be careful with this one.
Yeah. So I would just wait for this to de-SPAC and just let the redemptions shake out.
Okay, I think that's a pretty good move there. Jay Wild, I'm just going to cut to this just because this is so crispy. Mullen is halted. Okay, so MULN is halted here. Remember, you guys did a really good job of breaking the news last week that the stock was doing yet another reverse split. Did a 1-for-60 reverse split, and that is effective today. And Mullen is wasting no time, folks. It's already down 8%. Jay Wild saying Mullen halted. Time for an all-in, Ryan? Jay Wild's got all them jokes here on a Tuesday morning, that's for sure. I'll be honest with you. I think that I'm confident in saying at this point that Mullen, at least in my time doing any type of on-air stuff like this is the best short setup we've ever seen. This thing continues to just reverse split itself into the ground. Big time shout out to Jay Rice, who's joined us on multiple occasions to let us know that he will probably never even have to cover this short. And I'll tell you what, we continue to get bad news here. I don't even mess with this. I don't short it. I have no position on this. I'm not looking to short it. This thing is, I don't know what else I can really say. Just stay away from something like this.
There's other stuff to trade.
There's other stuff to trade. I think it's going to be much easier. I'm with you, 13. Stay away from this.
Yeah, it's funny when you look at the daily chart and you see the result of all those reverse splits and offerings, and it just completely
look at this.
Diluted. Yeah.
No, the stock is not down from $2.8 billion per share. It's been reverse split 1 billion times. Brandy here. I'm sorry to read this, but I'm proud of you. Avoid Mullen like the plague. They keep diluting and reverse split me from 20,000 shares to 1. My biggest bag ever. Okay, so look, if that's not a word of warning for you, I'm not sure what else is. Brandy, I've said over the course of my career that I've learned more about trading from other traders' bad trades than I did from their good trades. And so I appreciate you even sharing this. I know we joke around a lot about this. I know when I first started trading this, there was one day where I even said to myself, Ryan, don't trade this, because if you take a loss on it, you're going to end up feeling stupid. And what do you think happened, 13? Yep, I traded it and took a loss on it. This was before your time. I was on with Mitch and Zunaid at the time, and I was visibly frustrated. And I remember thinking afterwards, I was like, it's not a good idea for you to get visibly frustrated. And it's doubly so not a good idea if you know that you're going to get frustrated trading a piece of junk. So I don't have a huge bag on this. Brandy, I think that your word of warning here is probably the smartest thing. I know we joke around a lot about this stock, but I think sometimes it's worth it to peel back some of the jokes and take this for what it is. Frankly, this thing's a piece of junk, folks. It's a piece of junk, so be very, very careful with it. Brandy here saying it was a hard lesson. Those hard lessons, iron sharpens iron, Brandy. Hard lessons are going to make you a better trader. That is for certain. Market Sniper, good morning. I gave up on Mullen when I used Google Maps and I saw that their facility what their facility looked like. Okay.
That's a pretty awesome research.
Yeah, sure is. And you're not the only person to do that. I believe people did that with Tilray back in the day and found out that the Google map for Tilray's headquarters looked like a trailer. So anyway, I appreciate that Google map tip there. You can do that on some of them. Anyway, we've wasted too much time on this stock. Mullen, yeah, it's $11 here. It's probably going to go down. Just be careful with this no matter what you do. There's at 13, I think you said it the best. There's other things to trade.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
say again.
Speaking of which, and then you're going to move into the next one.
There you go. IPHA. This is Innate Pharma here, and we do actually have a catalyst with this one. This was, I believe, from Monday. No, this was from the day that we were closed. Yeah. So here we go. Innate Pharma shares are trading higher after the company announced on Monday that it was granted an FDA breakthrough therapy designation for lactumab, one of its drugs. It's trading higher here today, up 25.8%. Let's take a look around the horn here real quick. Short interest, negligible. Nothing really on the percent of float shorted. 2.95 days to cover, but frankly, that's just when we don't have a whole lot of volume. Today, we're going to have plenty. So I don't think there's going to be I don't think it's going to be squeezy here today. Almost just shy of 50 million shares in the float, 48.5 million here. 13. Do you have anything on this one?
Just that breakthrough therapy designation is going to be, that helps streamline the process in order to bring the drug to market. But that's really the only news I see here on this. I don't really have a whole lot to add. Let's take a look at the financials, see if they are
okay
to raise capital at any point. I don't know what kind of cash burn they're going through. I don't have a read on their income statement, but balance sheet shows that they have about 70 million in the bank. So might be enough. I don't know. I have no idea what their cash burn rate is. So I don't have more information.
Yeah, it's okay. I actually flipped over to annual here, and I'm able to get reading here on the statement of cash flows. Looks like they burn about 18 million in cash per year. If we take a look at the balance sheet here, say at the end of last quarter, they had 70 million on the books. So that should give you an idea. If we take a look at the income statement here again on annual, let's see, total operating income or loss. They are operating at a loss, and it looks like last year it kind of started to expand here. So definitely losing money. IPHA, looks like we actually lost the VWAP here today on this move back down. And one of the other things, looking at the pre-market here, volume has totally dried up. So I would need to see some substantial volume uptick on this name, in addition to going through a key level to get me interested here. Again, just kind of like the last one, I think we probably have some better opportunities lined up for today.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to look through the pipeline information they have here to see if we have any upcoming dates that we could, pin as catalysts. Not seeing anything, but they still have to go through. So they got this breakthrough therapy designation after evaluation of their phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials. So they are moving into phase 3. I don't know if they've started or not yet, or if they need to raise capital. I don't think they do, based on that cash burn, because they have plenty of money to at least start that. But I imagine they'll have to raise money for phase 3 later on. I just don't have any idea when this phase 3 starts as of yet. I'd have to do some more digging, and I don't think I am.
Okay. IPHA. Good morning, Carmen. Good morning, Jay. Great to see you. And Elkneer, we don't do spamming here, so don't let the door hit you where the good Lord has split you. Next here on the list is going to be WRD. This is We Ride. Of course, we had a wild ride on Friday with this. Actually, the pre-market was where this was really, really crazy, and then right out of the open there. Really kind of held in the rest of the day, but we're gapping up here again today, and it does look like we put in a double top here right around 42 in the pre-market. We're holding right at the VWAP, 38.88 versus the VWAP here of 38.81. So we'll see if We Ride gets going here. Did we have any news on WRD?
We traded this on Friday, didn't we? Yeah, on the NVIDIA stake. That's what the whole move was. NVIDIA took a stake in this. So I mean, I guess that's NVIDIA's way of,
1.74 million share via the 13F.
oh, that's right. This was like a really small stake, and it was moving like
Yep.
crazy on that. Okay, I remember this one now.
Yep.
But I don't know if NVIDIA's got a stake in other robo-taxi type companies. I mean, maybe
I
they
think
do.
pretty sure we also saw a move down. Was it a move down in Uber? Yeah, Uber moved down on Friday. It's actually pretty much back to where it was at. Pretty strong performance there.
How about Lyft?
I was going to say, let's take a look at Lyft next. Lyft moved down. That did also come back. This Lyft actually has a series of higher lows here on some of these intraday charts. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up breaking out. But anyway, just getting back to WRD here. Do you think there's a trade on this here today?
Let me see. Well, we're maybe I don't know if you can find any shorts. Let's take a look here at the. So we just lost VWAP, so that's not good. Whenever you see these stakes taken by other companies, and SoundHound's a really good example of this, you get a lot of back and forth. You get some days where it just absolutely pops off and continues for another number of days, and then it has a really weak period, but then it ends up coming back. I don't know that we'll see that with this one. We could. If there's going to be any trade here, I think it could do the same thing it did on Friday, where it popped out of the open and then it just bled most of the day. And I think that whole reason we got that was what I was saying about the size of its float. 175, almost 176 million shares. Very heavy to move. So it looks like it's setting up to try and go higher, but just keep in mind the size of the float. We did get that pop right out of the gate on Friday, and then we just gave it all back. Yep. We went sideways, mostly down, but kind of sideways the whole rest of the day. So just keep that in mind. You could see something similar happen today because of just how big the float is.
Okay. All right. Good morning, Izzy, Blue Pirates, Jeremy, Jay Rice, Jane, Mike. Good morning, folks. Welcome here. I'm actually going to skip ahead. Well, you know what? Let me just take a look here real quick. Sober, this is gapping up a little bit on no news at all. Stock's only up 20% here. We've seen this one move recently. They do that breathalyzer thing from the car. Pagaya here, this is actually up 20% too. This is actually popped out of the open on ticker PGY here. Didn't see anything on that. The future of landing short sellers dream, a closer look at Pagaya technology. This was a partner link article from before. This was nothing huge yesterday. AIFF, this was a big trade from last week. This really kind of dove on Friday. It's trying to curl back up. Not sure if we get there. Grab, what's this popping on? What is this popping on? Plus 13%. Looks like Friday after hours, Soros fund dissolved a stake. That's not why it's popping. Sorry, I'm not really sure why Grab is trading up. But what I was trying to get to here was OSCR. Jay, I know that you were mentioning this one here real quick. Here's my AI healthcare list. So, Jay, I know that you're predominantly a long side trader. Are you still looking at longs on all of these? Oscar here, the interesting thing about Oscar, if you take a look at the daily chart here, certainly looks like this 13 area was some pretty good support. We tested that on what, Thursday, it looks like. Yeah, Thursday, and we've bounced off of that here. Oscar actually up 11% here, ticker OSCR here this morning. So just wanted to get to all these, get some more information. 13, we can take a look, cover any of these that you want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I think I was just trying to figure out a reason why Grab was moving, but I think to Wiz's point, too many people talking about it, maybe stay away. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It does look like this kind of had a technical resolution after it was moved over the 50-day SMA and got support for 3 days. So it could be that, because if you look at the daily chart on Grab, it popped over on Wednesday.
So Grab or Oscar? Grab.
Okay. It closed over the 50 on Wednesday. Then it did it again on Thursday, and then it did it again on Friday. The only thing I could really say is it's probably just a technical move off after having recaptured the 50-day SMA and held above it.
I
don't
like
know
this
otherwise.
here. Jay saying lots of call buying last week in Grab.
Okay.
So it looks like you're having a little bit more follow through. Grab, not one that I follow.
The Uber
Appreciate
of
that data
Asia.
point there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the DoorDash too. I believe they do both, right? It's the Dash Uber of Asia.
So it seems like a lot of these vehicle autonomous vehicle plays are kind of, or not necessarily autonomous, but just transportation plays. Like if you're saying it's the Uber of Asia, and we also have Lyft, and we have Uber itself, and then we also have these autonomous vehicles coming into play. Seems like there's an emerging theme, and I'm not exactly sure how I could pin the exact theme, but it seems like I guess you could call it the taxi theme, whether it be by a human or by automation. It seems like all those kinds of stocks are having a pretty good time right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It definitely seems like a theme. The more and more here. So Wiss had said too many people were talking about it. It's a no touch. Big Bees confirmed that there was a ton of Twitter talk on it Friday and over the weekend here. So I guess factor that in today. I'll tell you what, that could really kind of send it, right?
Initially.
It could
it could just wipe everything out really quick too.
Big Bees adding, unlike Uber, they have a stored money payment system too. So it's a good mix for Asia there. Awesome. Drew said, I've had great experience with Grab in Vietnam. This guy saying Grab are in Vietnam. Interesting. Okay, really good stuff here from the chat on Grab. Jay Wild, I know that you were mentioning VSIG earlier. This is a penny stock that's now popped into dollar territory. We do have a PR here. VCI Global shares are trading higher after the company announced that CEO has entered into a 13.3 million 12-month share subscription program. Stock's up about 7% here in the pre-market. Quick look on VSIG, pretty much nothing there on the short percent of float, and only 22 million shares in the short. Or in the float. My goodness, it is like a Monday for me. 13. I'm not even sick, and I'm screwing up here. One more thing that I wanted to cover here real quick. We saw on Friday, RXRX. This actually had a pretty decent move on Friday. This is actually one of the stocks that I was able to day trade here in the afternoon. Felt like a degenerate on Friday. I was looking for stuff to trade, and this was one that I found here. We did have a piece of news on this. SoftBank Group's 13F, 14.67 million share stake in Recursion Pharmaceuticals. This is Masasan taking a 13F or taking a stake here in Recursion. So RXRX, I know we've traded this before off of the relative volume scanner and off some PRs. 13F update, SoftBank adding 20 plus million shares of RXRX.
HG brought up a really good point that I can speak on a little bit because it's something I've been taking a look at. Real quick though, Amam, what do I think about SMCI for a day trade? Sure, it'd be a great day trade. I just wouldn't hold on to it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say, Aman, I'm sorry. I suspect you're joining late here. We actually had Christian Tharp of T3 on, and he said that he likes SMCI for a short-term trade, like more so than NVIDIA, especially with some of these levels here, could really actually get to 60 if it holds above 50 here. So you're not the only person looking at SMCI. They've had a pretty big run off that $30 level. And didn't we hear that they're actually on pace to give their earnings by the deadline? I think the deadline is February 25th, if I recall correctly.
A week from today.
A week from today. There you go.
So I don't know that I'd want to hold it into that event. It seems like, with the run-up we've been getting into it, it could be, maybe a sell the news. I don't know that it will be or not. It could just absolutely break over the 200-day SMA and continue to and rip if they do release all that information. But I don't want to be in this one when that happens.
Me either. I'm with you. I'm with you, 13. I have no interest in. If you guys want to play that, good luck. Be safe. But you know what? I don't want to be any part of that binary event. I don't want to be any part of it.
But to that comment that was made by HG.
I'll put that on screen here. Which chart do you want me to put in? I'm actually going to step away for a sec.
Okay. Well, I was going to have you.
Then I'll do it. I'm not in a rush. Let's go.
So two things you can do is you can look at foreign direct investment for China and just look at a chart over time, and look at the foreign direct investment for Vietnam. Same over time chart, and you'll see. I mean, China in 2024 they lost 99% of foreign direct investment. Nobody wants to buy China stocks right now, and if the ones that do, they're being all being sold by Chinese holders.
And so I'm glad that you brought this up. I forgot about this. I actually covered Baba and Baidu a little bit earlier, 13, and I did not bring this up at all. This was actually something that we had discussed as a group last week in the happy hour. It seems that some of our boots on the ground reporting is reporting that while we do see guys like Tepper over here in the US adding to some of their China positions, it's different because the folks that are in China are dumping as much of their Chinese stock as they can, right? That's kind of a weird dichotomy there, right? It seems like the only people that are interested in Chinese stocks are the people that are not there. The ones that actually have boots on the ground are hand over fist trying to dump them.
But when you look at the difference in FDI between Vietnam and China, you can see that Vietnam is just absolutely spiking with foreign direct investment. So and we've been kind of talking about the Vietnam theme for a little while, but I hadn't really looked into it as much as I did last week, and I was kind of surprised to see just how much it's increased in Vietnam much earlier than I had thought. So there's been foreign direct investment going into Vietnam for some time, and there has been a lot of it leaving China, like tons of it leaving China for the past several years. So that doesn't seem like that's a trend that's changing quite yet. We probably want to pay attention to more companies out of Vietnam.
Okay. Real good stuff there. You were on that Vietnam beat from pretty early too. So shout out to you on that one. All right. What else do you folks want to take a look at here? CGBS popping with volume on no news. CGBS.
Company announced a memorandum of understanding for liquid natural gas with the India Gas Exchange. Interesting.
This is a penny stock. This did pop as high as 55. It's come all the way back in here. I'm going to pass on this one. We'll see if we get some more activity on this. Archer being brought up here by Martin. Archer, actually, this is looking pretty good here. Archer here popping out of the pre-market open and actually looking like it's trying to break this 11. We talked about this recently. Talked about Archer, having access or just kind of being one of the better eVTOL plays. 13, I know you've been on this one for a long time. I'm actually currently out of Archer right now. I was hoping for a pullback. This doesn't look great for that. What do you got here on Archer? Anything?
I'm not in this anymore either, but
okay.
It looks like the fact that it was holding on to the 50-day SMA and kind of riding alongside it for this whole month so far. That was the support that I suppose investors needed to see in order for it to them to take this up higher. There was also a breakout level. It looks like above, somewhere above 10. I don't know exactly where I would pin it. Maybe 10-15 or something like that. But there was a clear resistance area that it was trying to get out of, and it looks like we are going to be breaking out of that today. They also have earnings later on this month. Not sure if we're going to end up seeing a run into that, but we could. This is supposed to be one of the more prominent eVTOL companies. They have a lot of they have military contracts. They have contracts with the United Arab Emirates. Not that Joby isn't a potentially good one too, but I think this is the best in breed for the eVTOL space. Where this goes, not exactly sure. I know that you had told me that we had some folks that you know of that they're mentioning that Archer is definitely one to be watching. If we continue to trade up, I'd like this. I mean, I'd love to see this get over 11 today. That might entice me to try something here. But again, you also are approaching a higher RSI, 63 is the RSI on the daily right now. So if we try to get up to 11, 12, we might be overbought. So I don't necessarily know that there's a long, like a long-term play here at the moment. There could be. But I think I would, like you said, I would love to see it pull back in this first, because I don't want to buy this up here.
Yeah. And I think one of the other things here with Archer, there's some Anduril exposure to this, which is not a public company yet. But you might actually be able to get exposed to that entire story. By the way, you should check out that. How good was that Sean Ryan show? With
That was a good one.
That was a real good one. I'll link that one here in the chat for anyone that's interested in that. Yeah.
Jane Smith with a really good point. Probably not a bad idea to stay away from anything that has federal money tied to it. That's not just it's only a facet for Archer. It's not their whole thing, but their whole thing is they're trying to make more commercially available to consumers by getting them to and from airports. That was the whole big selling point. I think this started at. Now it seems to have evolved into something else. Now that with military contracts and foreign contracts, could be really, really good. But I just don't know enough, and I feel like I would be more comfortable getting this on a pullback under 10.
Yeah, and real quickly here, so it is popping plus 6% here. I see a number of you saying Archer got FAA approval. Yeah. Not to be a stickler here, Archer receives an FAA certification to launch its pilot training program. This is not the same as an approval, correct? I'm pretty sure this certificate for pilot training is not technically the same as an approval. I'm going to let someone with more experience in aviation handle that one. But that is a piece of news that's fresh here today. Stock's up 6%.
Oh, and Bowman mentioning that there was a 13F for Renaissance and Tudor that have a position in Archer.
Yeah, when was that? I feel like we covered that one.
That should have been last week when the 13Fs were coming out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I don't think that was fresh as of this week. I think that was last week, but nonetheless, good stuff there.
Yep.
And Fairchild, so you said correct. So the certificate, the certification to launch a pilot program is not the same as FAA approval. Nonetheless, it's still positive. So, okay, I'm sorry for being a stickler. I just want to make sure that I have that correct. Right there.
We have less than 3 minutes left before we start.
Okay, do you have any stock that you want to go over? I have got to get up real quick before the open. I'll be right back. I'll put whatever stock on here you want on screen.
What should we look at, folks?
You know what?
AIFF?
AIFF, because this was a big one last week. It's pushing up here in the pre-market. We'll see where this one goes. I'll be right back. 1 sec before the open.
So let's just take a look here at AIFF on the chart I'm going to be trading on. And it looks like the 200 EMA is where it is trying to move over right now, but having a little bit of a hard time trying to stay above that. It is above VWAP, so that's good. It looks like the pre-market high I have here is 1074, not too far away from that, but I would like to see it hold above, 1025. That's slightly above VWAP, but that looks like a pretty good level here. What is the news in AIFF? Medtronic report earnings. So it's 2 weeks away from earnings. I don't think that's the reason it's moving up. Not really seeing anything as to why it's moved. Maybe it's a relative volume play. I'm not exactly sure why we're seeing a rebound in this, but it did have some pretty good moves last week. Sold off on Friday, and we're just trying to maybe that's just what it's about. It's just that it's trying to rebound off that selling. I don't have the exact reason why this is moving, but I did identify that 200 EMA we need to get. It looks like we are back above it. We need to hold that and then of course hold VWAP as well. But I would like to see it break over 1074. If we get that, let's see where this could go. If we get that, I would want to see. It looks like 1260 could be a potential resistance area if we get up there in AIFF.
Okay. Market pulling here ahead of the open. Just wanted to see if there was any big headline that I'm maybe missing. S&P futures here holding higher at plus 0.2% here. up 0.22% here, but we are pulling currently. So keep that in mind. And we are about to open here. Let's take a look at some of these. Here's your cues pulling back here, pretty much deleting a lot of that pre-market gain. Oh, hey.
Sorry, I was just looking to see if there was anything I could draw on for the reason the market was pulling.
Yeah, no, I was looking around too.
Might be have something to do with the Russia-U.S. talks, and we are open.
We are open. All right, let's see where we go here today, folks.
All right, so let's see here. SLDB, that one's lower out of the open. EFOI. That might come down to the 200 EMA. It had support there earlier in the pre-market. Yeah, there we go. That might be why it's pulling.
Draft is early proposal and could still change significantly. Okay. Okay.
All right, looks like SLDB is trying to turn positive here. This is just. I feel like this volume out of the open isn't that great. Maybe that's just
me. By the way, Nike shares trading higher after the company announced Nike Skims, its new women's brand in partnership with Skims. That's Kardashian's thing, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, Nike here plus 3%. This trading up right out of the open. NKE Nike.
So WRD, did that pop out of the open and then we pulled? Not necessarily breaking down, but let's see what happens here. It could try to push higher. Just be careful with that one because of the high float.
Uber, Izzy, where are you at? Uber trading up out of the gate here. Was actually wondering if we were going to get a little bit of a move down in Uber. That would have been viable. No such luck yet. Uber here 80 plus.
EFOI, there's a bit of a wall of sellers at 2. If we get some volume expansion here, could take that out. Might get this moving, but there's a lot of supply. There's a big supply area after 2, like starting at 205. So
SLDP, I'm sorry for interrupting. SLDP right at the VWAP right now, and it looks like it's trying to take this out. I'll tell you what a bounce off of the area where it took a leg up in the pre-market, this 630 area. What a bounce right there. We actually took the VWAP out and we're holding above. This looks good. No position for me on this, but this one actually doesn't look terrible. Let's see if it can get above that VWAP there. Maybe not on this first attempt, maybe on the second attempt.
So EFOI actually looks like it's going to still move down to the 200 EMA, which I have at 173.
Looks like the market pulling back here. So I'm just taking a look. Big cap tech pulling back. Amazon pulling back. Izzy, let me know if this Amazon 228 level is viable for you. We'll watch that one here. Apple pulling back. Netflix pulling back. Amazon pulling back. Costco even is pulling back here. Bitcoin pulled off the pre-market highs here. So it looks like the market definitely pulling a little bit here. S&P futures still holding green, but only up 0.15% presently.
Look at Archer go.
Is it taking off? That joke is so played. I should probably just stop doing it.
It's going vertical. It's a VTOL.
Even when you're sick, it doesn't stop the jokes. Archer ripping here. Speaking of another stock going vertical out of the gate, you guys have been on it. MBIS.
And BBAI.
BBAI. Traded this one a lot last week.
Yeah, that just ripped through 925.
Okay, what do we got for some spots here on BBAI?
925 needs to hold. After that, there are some spaces between 925 and $10 that are interesting, but $10 is the next level I have. You could also look at potentially 960 and 985 as potential levels, but my levels that I have marked off are going to be 925 and 10, and after that, 1050.
Okay, good stuff there. BBAI. You know what I'd like to see here? I'd actually like to see it hold this area here, kind of consolidate, flag a little, and then maybe break. Okay, it's all I had to do was talk about what I wanted it to do, and it gives me a middle finger there, and does the opposite. That sounds about right. Another question here on Palantir. I know we talked a little bit about this morning. Palantir ripping out of the gate here. My only question on Palantir, and I pose this to the group, I'm open to suggestions from really anybody. Where's the short point on Palantir? And not because we don't like the company, just because this thing's just too far, too fast, absolutely vertical. I'd love to hear what you folks think about a potential short area, ticker PLTR.
I mean, it's probably going to take...
I know it's a hard question. I know it's a hard question, but that's why I'm asking it.
It's probably going to take a broader market poll. You know, it might not, you know, pull back meaningfully unless the whole market does.
Okay.
I mean, that's possible.
Yeah, no,
because we've been trying to ask ourselves that question for the longest time. Where's the real pullback? Where's the real weakness going to be? And so far, we just haven't seen it. We've seen some, you know, a little bit of some polling, but it just it doesn't resolve, you know, the way we expect it to, and it just rips higher. So, you know, your guess is as good as mine.
Yep. I see a number of you folks mentioning ONDS. Really good start to the day here. Looks like we've got a PR here on ONDS. Ondas Aerobiotics launches global demonstration tour to showcase its Iron Drone Raider system, revolutionizing counter drone defense with AI embedded interception. So I've been talking to you. I've been saying for a while now, I have a long-term approach here on ONDS. This piece of news, I wasn't necessarily expecting this specific piece of news here today, but I do expect more news flow. We've already seen some positive reaction to the Iron Drone system. We've talked a lot here on this show, not specific to ONDS drones really being something that's going to proliferate. I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I'll be honest with you, this piece of news pretty good. Stocks up 3.5% here. I'm expecting more of this in 2025. I'm expecting more news flow here. Still long ONDS, nice little pop out of the gate here.
Saw that somebody was Lion Atlas. Good morning. He was mentioning Intel, and it keeps going up, which is, you know, kind of fantastic.
Kind of fantastic for a number of reasons here, right? 13. We covered Intel here this morning. Intel jumps over 5% here this morning in the pre-market. Now we're up 7.5%. So the next leg engaged going on here. Talks with Broadcom and TSMC is the new piece of news that's moving Intel here today. Again, 13, I shouted out our entire Benzinga ecosystem. We had talked, we got a little tip about this being a really good buy at 19, which was a quadruple bottom on the daily chart. Stock's now up 6 points from that area. Super timely. So I'll tell you what, the entire Benzinga ecosystem has been on top of Intel here. Nice to see some continuation.
Yeah, and I don't know about I've read a lot of conflicting things about TSMC actually, you know, trying to bid on a portion of the company. So I don't know how true that is, nor do I know how true it is with Broadcom. You know, because I think we heard news about some other companies trying to potentially take that over, you know, last month. So, you know, until we actually get some real clarity on who's serious about getting this company in parts or a whole, I'm just going to, you know, kind of just hang tight and let this stock continue to rise until we actually get that a little bit more solid news, because it's been all over the place with who's going to be, you know, picking this up. I've even heard of a potential merger with AMD and Intel. So there's another thing right there. So I just don't know how much of this is true, and all these reports suggesting this and that. I want some more clarity first. So let's just let this thing ride, and when we get some more clarity, we'll know what to do with it at that time.
Real quick here, I'm seeing some calls get bought here. NNE. This is nano nuclear. I would wonder then if SMR and OKLO have similar type of performance. Not seeing that option flow on the scanner yet. OKLO, this is trading higher here, so looking pretty good. More Intel call flow. Palantir puts getting bought here. This thing continues to scream higher. God, good luck to that.
I'm being asked about the short interest in SoberSafe. That's SOBR. I have 27.5% of the float shorted, but only 1 day to cover because the float is pretty tiny. It's less than 1 million shares. So, you know, this thing could squeeze, but I don't think it's going to be prolonged because of, you know, the shorts could cover this in less than a day.
Okay, it looks like S&P, the SPY here, the sell-off here is slowing down. So part of me wonders if we bounce from here. This has me thinking about Amazon, maybe for a potential bounce here. I'll see if we can claim the VWAP there. I would trade this against the lows. So here's the trade here on Amazon that I'll be waiting for. If we can move through the VWAP here, 228.80, maybe we can throw this on for a short-term trade targeting 230, maybe even 230 and a half. We could trade this against the day low here, 228 and change.
Nicola having a moment in the sun, says Fairchild. Well, it might be all downhill from here.
I see what you did there. The truck rolls downhill.
That's right.
Moment
That's never
in the
not going to be
sun.
funny. It's never not going to be funny.
No, it won't. And I'll get it forever. It's moment in the sun. I mean, is it getting cooked? I don't. This thing, stay away from. I think.
Yeah.
Uber taking the next leg higher here. Is he mentioning Uber? Ryan, Uber ski in Europe news.
TEM up slightly today as well.
Uber ski launches across Europe. What is Uber ski? A smarter, smoother, and more convenient alternative for Belgian skiers to reach their ski resort. So this looks like a branded shuttle service for some of these Belgian ski slopes.
So what is it saying? Is this like a replacement for a gondola?
Well, I don't think it does that.
Because that would be that would be amazing if it were.
It looks like it's just fixed price fares to get you available in France, Switzerland, Austria, Germany, Poland, Spain, and Sweden. So it looks like they're just fixed rate vans that have ski racks and snowboard racks to help you get to your ski resort.
Oh, so it gets to the resort. Okay.
From the French Alps to the Swiss peaks. Good Lord, Ryan, wake up. Uber Ski provides direct, affordable transfers from key airports and train stations to more than 90 ski resorts. Okay, so the first question I had is because I'm not familiar with the different ski resorts in Europe. You guys are going to have to help me out with that. I know there's quite a bit around the Swiss area, but it seems like maybe the market for this is pretty good. Market seems to be, or at least initially was rewarding this. Let's see what Uber's doing now. Okay, so that initial pop took us to 81. We're pulling back. I'd watch a hold here at the VWAP, frankly.
Chat's mentioning KWE. This looks like a defense stock that just recaptured $1. I don't know enough about this company, but they do apparently they do lasers and countermeasures against drones, electronic detection. I don't know enough about this company, but hey, it's moving right now. We're seeing this. We may have got our first 100% runner here.
Okay, took some Amazon here. Sorry for going quiet there. Took some Amazon here. We'll see. I'm a little bit late to this. Did not. And remember, we talked about this crossing the VWAP here. I got filled 228.82, so maybe not terribly late here. Let's see if we can go to 230 on Amazon. Stop on the day low here.
Just looking at some of these movers that we talked about this morning. SLDB is trying to hang out above VWAP after it just recaptured it. It's going higher now. Still not in the pre-market highs. Pre-market high is 844, and we were still under 7 at the time. It looks like EFOI did get that bounce off the 200 EMA. Hasn't quite had a big move over the VWAP yet, even though it's tried to recapture it. We need to see that VWAP get recaptured before this goes higher. PRFX, another one that's trying to recapture VWAP, been unsuccessful out of the gate so far. It's being suppressed by VWAP as well.
RX, we talk about this with the stake from Masasan last week. New highs here, actually took out the pre-market highs. This was higher. We got that news. That was right in here, right? We got that news in the afternoon. RX and a 9 handle. Here we are, 12 plus. This one really good.
GCL.
KWE is halted, by the way, to the upside.
Yep. And GCL, that just had a nice move over VWAP. And here we are with...
I still have it beneath VWAP, but indeed this had a nice move higher, and it looks like it's trying to take out that 548.
And here we go with WRD. We had that pop out of the gate, just like on Friday, and now it's having a hard time holding above VWAP. The levels of support where we could potentially see it turn around, and I'm not saying there's any guarantee this will happen, but I kind of like the 3850 level, and then you have the 65 EMA and 200 EMA beneath it. Those are going to be at 3717 and 3286. I don't know exactly where this is going to go, but I think it's going to trend lower just because of how heavy the float is.
Okay. I also, by the way, eat it. This higher, remember this was a decent trade. This sucked. I ended up taking this on Friday, got stopped out on it, tried to trade it in the afternoon. It only made a couple of pennies back. Was really disappointed in how I actually executed this. Should have just held it, because here we go higher today. Remember, some of those gene editors moving higher on the CRISPR upgrade that we got on Friday last week. Eat it, NTLA would be some other ones that are moving on that upgrade there. Let's see how NTLA doing the same thing here, holding higher. How's CRISPR doing here today? CRISPR, same deal. All those gene editors, another more follow through here on that. NBIS, just an absolute monster. Well, I tell you what, again, bought here at 17.5, sold at 25, thought I was doing good. Gosh, can I get my shares back? This is almost a double since then.
There we go with SLDB. Nice move over VWAP, and it's starting to get going here.
Hey, good for you. I actually took Amazon on that VWAP cross, and it's coming right back down to the bottom. So that Amazon trade might stop me out here early.
Just waiting for EFOI to try to do the same thing. It is really it's being held back by my VWAP, my broker's VWAP. I have that at 185. So we break 185. I can even see on my price ladder here that 186 has a large wall of sellers. This needs volume. That's really the only thing that's missing from EFOI. If you get enough volume, we could push over VWAP.
Okay.
But so far, that rebound off the 200 EMA has been pretty good. But unless we capture VWAP, we're going to visit it again.
SRM here, that penny stock. This has now entered dollar territory. Your pre-market high here, 105. We'll see if that's on deck. Ticker SRM. Amazon approaching the stop here.
BBAI, that after that pop to 945, it came back in. Really pulled it hard, and then it went back up. Tried to ended up testing 925 and got rejected. So now we're beneath 925. Support areas are going to be EMAs, and if we go lower, I have support at $8. But I would look at some of the lows in pre-market and Friday's low as support areas ahead of 8. So that would be 870 and 856.
Okay, stopped out of Amazon. 0 for 1 on the day here. That's a bummer. Here is your BBAI chart, still flirting with that VWAP area.
SPCB rejected hard. Let's see. I was already out of it. Oh, no, not this one. I was in SLDB. SPGC Sax Parente. Is that the one you're talking about?
Are you
No. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. I got that wrong. Where is this one that you're talking about? Did we even talk about this one today? SPCB?
No, this SPCB. No, this was one that ran last week, right? Supercom.
Okay. Oh, this one's up 17% this morning.
Yeah, I didn't talk about this one here today. Sorry.
I see the pull that you're talking about here. And this thing is not really moving that fast at all. It looks like. Let me look at my broker here. I'll give you some information on Supercom.
By the way, market did continue to pull here. So I know it looked like it was trying to rebound there. That was part of the reason we took that Amazon trade. None of that held. Cracked and went lower here.
Oh, glad I took my gains in SLDB. That thing just halted to the downside. Ooh, that was ugly.
Yeah. You know what? And 13 up to that, you're not kidding about this being ugly. I know we got above that VWAP, but man, man, it could barely hold it. And this actually took out your intraday lows too.
Yeah. 65 EMA would be the next support area, and then the 200 beneath that. And based on these wicks that we were getting in the pre-market, it could very well head down to the mid-4 area.
Walgreens Boots Alliance looks like we've got a new PR here. National Benefits expands retail network with Walgreens, leveraging innovative fintech to improve member access to health and wellness products nationwide. WBA, Walgreens Boots Alliance, halted, up 8.97% here. Also love this, the Geico Lizard. First of all, love the handle, the Geico Lizard in here to give us some boots on the ground information. I actually went in Poland, and yes, there's a lot of ski taxis. Uber's getting really popular. So it just seems to me that Uber is kind of going after markets where it thinks it can make an impact. And it looks like the European ski market is a good one. So there you go there with Uber.
Nice move by Walgreens Boots Alliance.
Yeah, that is a pretty huge move. STAI, Scantech AI Systems. I know a couple of you are trading this. Mo, I know that you're on this one. There are a couple of others are on this one here. This thing, nice little ramp here. This is actually a pretty good formation. I'm a little bit disappointed didn't trade this through 220 here. Nice expanding volume, nice pop here. In fact, I'm going to shout out anyone that was on this one. Good stuff. STAI, this actually is one of those smaller names, gave a pretty good move here today. DS, good job. Mo, good job.
Man.
Market Sniper, good job. Jonathan, good job. God, you guys were all on this. I'm sorry I was slacking.
I'm still waiting for a pullback in Siri. I want to try this at 25. I don't know it for a fact, but I think I have an idea why Buffett likes this one, and it's not just about free cash flow.
Will you tell us?
Well, this is not like Spotify or any streaming service really. You have actual physical products that are embedded in cars, and you don't have to, scan through your phone to find anything. You just push buttons. You got to, if you've ever used XM Siri radio or any of that, and you've tried to use other apps that are on your phone, you notice the difference, and you notice how easy it is to find channels you want. So my whole thought here with Siri is this could be a really big robo-taxi angle. Because when you have people, a whole bunch of different people going in and out of these robo-taxis every day, and at least that's what the hope is, I don't necessarily see them connecting up to the vehicle's infotainment center. I think they're just going to go with what's already there, and what's already there is likely going to be XM Sirius Radio or Sirius XM Radio. So, okay. Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. I appreciate it. So I think that you might see Sirius XM Radio in every robo-taxi. And I don't just mean Teslas. It might be just and here's the other thing. Like Siri they're pumping out satellites every year now. I think they're supposed to be launching one later this year. And they're going to be launching one every year until up until 2028. I don't know for a fact that that's the angle, but it would make kind of a lot of sense to me if that's where he was seeing it. So that's just a theory, but it's no theory that Warren Buffett likes Siri because he's been picking up a lot.
Yeah. It is an interesting spot here, right at that 200-day, right at the volume shelf, at the volume point of control. This is actually at a pretty interesting spot. Anne-Marie, since you're there wishing 13 well, maybe this is one we should add to the list for today's show. Option chain looks fairly liquid, at least in the March expiry. Not a whole lot of premium in there. Maybe SIRI we can add to that. Good stuff there on that breakdown, though, 13.
Yeah, no problem. I'll try to see if I can find out more. But that was just the theory as to because he likes free cash flow. It's a really good business right now. And, a lot of people are thinking, well, everybody likes Spotify and all the streaming apps. And that's true. That's not where I'm at with Sirius. I think it's going to be a robo-taxi angle, but I don't know that for a fact yet. EFOI, by the way, this is coming up to that supply area where we could see some resistance.
Okay.
So I'm not in this one anymore, but this is where it could start to see weakness.
Okay.
Trying to get through that supply area.
Some former names continuing to do well for us here today. Look at INOD, INOD, this up in a 50 handle. GRAL, GRAL, this up another 13%. Boy, what a move GRAL has been on. Jay, I know that you've been on this. We have a gentleman in the happy hour who's been on this for a while. This actually almost looks like a double in a couple of days.
Jonathan Cooper mentioning
SLDP. Lord.
Or did you mean SLDB? I think you meant SLDB, the one that we were talking about.
Yeah, I think he did too.
That kind of coming off of its, it didn't touch the 65 EMA, but it's trying to move away from there. Still would be careful with this one. I'm not seeing that it's at the stage of where it could recover yet. MACD's not showing that it's curling yet. Might go lower. I think there's other things that we could take a look at that might provide better trades, because this one it's not getting it done right now. Maybe later it'll be better.
ALLO is getting it done here. 269 as we just set some new highs here. Nice little breakout off that opening impulse move that also took out the pre-market level there at 240. Not in this one either. Man, I am not picking the right stocks again here today. I might just slow this down until I can get a hold of myself. ALLO going higher here. 280 looks to be the next spot. Grail looks like a squeeze. Indeed, that's a double in what, 4 sessions? I mean, just an unreal move there in Grail.
I think my theory about BlackBerry, it could end up being right.
The cybersecurity angle on BlackBerry?
No, well, the technical assessment that I had about getting above that the pattern that I identified, where if it on the monthly, once it closes a month above both the 20 and 50-day SMAs, it goes on a short-term run. And when I say short-term and on monthly, I mean it's like over several months.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're here I'll just post my chart in the happy hour chat so you can show what I'm talking about. But it's done this 2 other times on the monthly chart, so this would be the third. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, that it might continue to move and go on a bit of a rally here. So let me just post this for you, and all you can share.
It gives me a chance to say good morning to everybody, which I've been unable to do yet today. So.
Right. There you are. And when we look at this chart, we'll be taking note of the orange circles. These are all the moments on a monthly chart where we've closed over the 20 and 50 month. I think I said day, but the 20 and 50 month SMAs. And then we went on a short-term rally. Now, the second one that happened in 2021, that was also because it was kind of meme stomped, but it nonetheless still went on a rally. So I'm counting it.
Okay. Good stuff there, BB.
Yeah. So what needs to happen is this month has to close over the 15-month SMA. So that's why I'm kind of on a wait and see if we can do that. But the 50-month SMA is 581, and we're trading at 605 right now. So it's looking possible. We just have to get through the rest of this month.
Is he mentioning Panda? Wow, STAI. This was definitely the trade of the day. In fact, I'm going to give you some more register rings for this one. Anyone that hit STAI, really good stuff. Is this halted? The upside 352. No, this is still moving around here. It's like my chart is slow on this one. This definitely still moving around here on STAI. Really good volume ramp on this. Great stuff, folks, for hitting this one. I'm sorry I wasn't in that one too.
We're getting a mention on EFOI. That popped over the 65 EMA, and then it came right back in. This is the danger of the supply zone I was outlining, because we couldn't get through it. That supply zone was between 205 to 218, about there. So trying to get through that, not successful, pulling back now. So the hope for this one is that it gets another rebound off the 200 EMA, but if it does that relatively soon, I don't know that we're necessarily going to be going higher. This could be really weakening.
Okay. And you guys were also mentioning PanW here. I hope some of you took that trade. I was swinging this one from that 180 level. This thing now printing above 200, 205 here. I'm not in this anymore. I've been out of this one for a couple of sessions now, but wow, what a winner here on PanW. This will not be my only trade this year in PanW, and it actually looks like we might be trying to break a double top here. I'll tell you what, watch PanW on any moves down. Dip should get bought there.
Captain Obvious, BlackBerry did not spin off its autonomous vehicle software. So what they have is It's not, and it's not autonomous. It's more diagnostics, and that's their QNX system is more infotainment, but their IVY software is meant more for diagnostics, and they've been working with Amazon on that. I think they're also working. I want to say with I think it was Microsoft, but I'm not 100% sure. But they still have that diagnostic software. They still have been in the Internet of Things. They've had several businesses, and that's kind of why it's been so hard to kind of figure out exactly what this thing's worth. But they've been selling a lot of patents, mainly related to their phone and their different communications patents that has to do with consumer electronics. But I still think they're going to be a big player in the cybersecurity space.
SMCI continuing to push. Remember, Christian talked about this really kind of holding above 50 here. Well, we've actually made a push above 54. SMCI looking pretty good so far. Volume's coming in a little bit, but still up 12% here and holding. IPHA, this is one from our list here. This has been kind of a bummer. SOBR is drunk and going lower. NBIS, more new highs here today. I got to think we get 50 prints on deck here today. Allo, this went as high as 280 and pulled back a little bit. Watch this if this can get to the VWAP at 250, ALLO.
BlackBerry should do a phone.
KWE back tested one and held so far. We'll see if that holds again. EFOI, this looks weak and looks like this wants to roll over and go lower. SLDB, same look there.
Yeah.
How's Win doing? Okay, Win, this is interesting. We had earnings last week here on Win on Thursday after hours. Had a interesting reaction to the earnings. Great day on Friday. It looks like we're actually have a little bit of extension here today. No position on Win, but I'm kind of interested on that for some 100 prints.
Wow. SPY is really pulling now.
Yeah, so we didn't really get a bounce there at all. Look at this. I think next here for SPY, probably want to watch this 609 level. Intraday low. You guys are saying a BlackBerry phone seems smart. Good stuff. Everything pulling here. Every chart turning around. OMDS, despite the positive news, has gone red. Apple off the highs. Amazon next leg lower. Gosh, that was the wrong call out of the gate. Goldman Sachs giving up its pop. A lot of stuff moving lower here. Home builder sentiment for February misses.
It's kind of interesting that we didn't make. Well, I guess that's depend on how you look at it. The all-time high we put in on Friday was 610.99, and we print a high of 611. So, and then we reversed.
Yeah, and we were set to open above all-time highs here this morning, and an immediate pull out of the gate.
So here's some levels to the downside. It's going to be previous all-time highs and then a trend line. You have 609.07, 608.48, and then probably somewhere around just beneath that 608.48 level is going to be another support from the trend line. So I would be looking at those areas for support if we even get it.
So I think what you're doing is like this, right? You have a trend line from the tops of these wicks like this.
Yep. Yeah, more or less. I use the first two because it didn't really reach the third one, so I just used the first two the wicks. You've got the second one a little bit underneath. There you go. Yeah. So it'd be that kind of trend line there. I'd be looking for some support if we get it.
Jay mentioning Meta here, 20 days in a row. This thing was green every single day in February. Today, down 2%. Jay, to your point here, after being up 20 days in a row, minus 2% does feel like an elevator down.
Well, this thing was super overbought.
I mean, it was incredible. I mean, it was absolutely incredible here on Meta. This pulling back now. Good stuff there, Jay.
It didn't have an RSI that high since February 2nd last year when it gapped up. All right, so
it's over. Meta is red. Oh God, I love FinTwit. I love FinTwit. PRPH penny stock. Is this going? Good luck for that. Oscar, maybe we break 16 here. Possible breakout on 16 on OSCR. Oscar Health.
hang on 1 second.
NBIS, this actually looking like it might be going for some of those 50 prints there. NBIS. SRM lost $1 there. We ride here. This is interesting. Okay, so this reclaimed its VWAP and it's holding above it. Still think this could actually move if this gets some volume flow. Volume actually pretty poor here. More, oh my God, more INOD calls. This time 75 calls for May.
That is insane.
Insane, dude. 80K bet there on INOD.
Wow, BBAI really starting to lose altitude here. Blowing through the pre-market highs on its way down to the low from Friday. That is 856. Beneath that, I'd say potentially $8 is where the next support is. And SPCB, that's holding its VWAP. Volume needs to be better, but it's still holding above VWAP.
Nike actually continuing to go higher here. Beyond Meat higher.
Are you serious?
That's, I mean, $4. It's up 3%. Sale Point, this was an IPO last week. This is now grinding higher. Sale.
Do you think Beyond Meat could be an inflation play?
In what way?
The price of real beef being too high?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I maybe I'm the wrong person to ask, but I think that Beyond Meat, that stuff is absolute poison. That processed garbage is poison. If I couldn't afford real meat, I'd eat vegetables.
People will put the craziest stuff in their bodies.
Indeed. Jabroni asking about EA here. EA, I have just a trailer piece on. I've had multiple sales. This thing was initially 115. And we were in the 115, the 120, the 130, and the 140 calls. I have a trailer piece on that I will let expire if necessary. This has been a huge winner here. This has been a huge winner for us. That was another one of those good ones. If it comes back in here and we lose the trailer piece, we lose the trailer piece. There's been multiple profit collection on the way up here. We've actually sold and rolled twice in this name as it's moved in our favor. God, Black Sky here. This looking like this is already printed above 20. I wouldn't eat BYND even if it was free. Amen, Jay Wild.
I mean, obviously, everybody in this chat here is very smart. I'm just kind of wondering, if this really does put the pinch on people's wallets in a really bad way that they start looking at those alternatives. So I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Obviously, nobody who's reasonable and talking with us here is going to be eating that crap.
Interesting. Pan W 225 calls.
SPCB. Oh, man, this thing just moves too slow. But it's still above VWAP.
Those Pan W calls for the March expiry, March 21st expiry. Repeat buyer there on those calls. Interesting.
So BBAI trying to rebound here after hitting 863. Not quite the 856, but close.
Here's your BBAI. Amazon continuing to pull back here. That's the weakest of the names. ONDS, massive pullback. Wow.
Is everybody starting to feel like maybe the highs are in for the time being and they just want to take profits? We need more information.
Look at the VIX there, 1593, so just shy of a 16 handle. NBIS did not get the memo. 50 plus prints on this one. NBIS. This has been a huge winner. I can't believe I piked this one that bad.
This one has to be moving on the Russia U.S. talks, because this was a formerly Russian company, and the reason they stopped trading is because they had to move out of Russia. So this thing could go a lot higher if relations between Russia and the U.S. normalize again. Yeah. And but we should see some pullback first, because this thing's getting pretty extended. It is getting over the 200-day SMA, but I think more pullback might happen closer to 54.
Allo's still going. Looks like this stopped at 3 here. That's your high a day on Allo. Volume actually still looks good here. ALLO.
Lunar getting a mention. Actually, I need to take a look at the Space Watch. Let's see how that's doing.
CRISPR still going higher. How do we get on some of those other smaller gene editors? How's Eat It doing?
Black Sky is moving today as well. Let's see why.
Lunar 2222.
So they got Black Sky got another contract, 6-figure contract. Nothing too special.
EFOI, that's lower here. STAI lost the VWAP on that pullback.
I don't know if Black Sky is going to continue to run, but it is getting very extended. I'd like to see this thing, go through another cooling off period.
What was
BKSY?
BKSY. I did B Sky.
Yeah, when I true too as well, Jay. With earnings coming up, it could be running into that. But I think specifically today, it's the Russia U.S. talks headline, and specifically because NBIS used to be in Russia. But yes, I think that the earnings coming up is definitely another good point. Yep.
Getting a pullback here in Hood.
Another one that's been on a run.
Yeah, and actually this we nibbled a little bit on this on Friday here. This is coming back in. We'll see where this holds. I'd really want this to hold 62. Might think about an add at that point. Here's a look at what the daily chart looks like, and this will become a little bit more clear. What we really want this to hold here is this 2 area. This might actually set up our island. If we break this, we'll probably just let it go. Cut the nibble. Hood weak today, down 4.5% here. This actually, we'll see. We'll see where this finishes up at the day here. This is hunting for some new lows here on Hood.
mRNA bad times. What's mRNA looking like? Because this is one that we were pretty sure we would want to stay away from while RFK's.
I said my piece on this. This is not a company that I will own.
Okay. Yeah, still not able to get back above some of these SMAs. Does look like it's trying to curl though. Yeah, I don't know about this one. I think this is just not one you want to touch right now. Maybe there's some more support around. No, actually, it hit that already. Okay. Well, let's see if it holds. I would want to see more sideways action in Moderna before I decided I was going to trade it. 13 level on Amazon. Is it 225? Let's take a look.
Boeing still holding up here. Boeing actually fairly strong against the sea of weakness here today. Boeing, I still think we get 200 prints. You want me to chart out Amazon here on a bigger chart?
Ooh, okay. This is ugly. Losing the 50-day SMA, something that we have not seen the price really interact with since September of last year. That might not be good. We would have to see this SMA get recaptured in short order here. Otherwise, I think this will go lower. As far as your level that you had there, 225, I think I'd feel better. I think I'd feel better about 220. But I guess I could see 225. I just think 220 is better. But that 50-day SMA loss, that's not good.
Yeah, also keep in mind here on Amazon, from the October 31st low of last year, we were in a very clear uptrend. This uptrend was invalidated on Friday as we got a close below. Now it looks like we're getting another close below and a close below that 50.
Yeah. So we start closing them beneath the 50 multiple days.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in this one. Ooh, AIFF with a nasty pull.
I'll go back to the smaller mover here in a sec. Staff Sergeant Ryan, good morning. Ryan, what's your time frame for 200 on Boeing? Beginning of March, end of March, July of 2026. Honestly, 13 points here. I actually think it could do this in some pretty short order. Let's see if we can get this done by the end of March. And actually, the calls that we nibbled on there, on those Boeing calls, those were March. Now those expire March 21st. Those calls. Oh my gosh, plus 85%. Good stuff on that one, Ryan.
Yeah, I think Boeing is in a recovery phase right now, and I think this could end up doing pretty well. Like I believe it's going to eventually go over 200 and maybe even make its way up to 300.
Mm-hmm. And I think we talked briefly about that last week. One of the other things that we had noticed, a lot of the news when we were down here, a lot of the bad news wasn't really causing the stock to sell off much anymore. And if you take a look here, we've got a trend line going all the way back to 2020 that we've held. Now we're looking like we're going to come up and test this 500-day moving average. So
that's going to be the big level to get over, because
I agree.
The last time it was up there, it spent several months trying to break through that to no avail. So we're going to want to see, and what could end up happening is it could reject it again and push the price lower. So that's something that could potentially happen, but I don't think it's going to make any lows if that happens. I think we could see some support from the 200-day SMA if it happens to go down that low again. But we are going to want to see a break over that 500-day SMA, and if we start closing over that, then I think we're going to pretty easily start to make our way further into the 200s.
Okay. Market here, by the way, continuing to move lower. Excuse me. So we tried to bounce down here on SPY. I've actually tried to bounce twice. Both times that's been met with sell orders. See if we can hold on to 609 here. Yeah, 609.5. We'll see if we can hold that level. That's going to be your intraday low from Friday, as well as the new low that we printed here today. So see if we can do that. Buy the dippers not showing up just yet. Now the day is young, so that might still happen, but not showing up just yet.
Yeah, it might be those lower levels I was mentioning where they start stepping in, if they do step in.
Yeah.
Wow, AIFF is absolutely getting hammered right now.
PRFX, this off the highs, that put its highs in the pre-market. That one might be done here. I'm not looking for that. Here's your AIFF.
So it's coming down to the consolidation area from the after hours on Friday. That could be an area, that's a demand zone. That could be an area where it tries to reverse. As a matter of fact, kind of already did go down there, just above $9. Maybe it starts to try and reverse here, but that's a demand zone that could help lift this back up. Now, how high it goes, not sure. I would say maybe 957 could be where it ends up, by 957 to 960. But this thing doesn't have great volume right now, so I would kind of peg the price action between those two areas for the time being.
875 looks to be your Friday intraday low on AIFF. And again, let's keep in mind where this thing came from. This thing came from $3 when we started trading it. So we have definitely, I'm not trying to, spook everybody, but we do have some more downside here to go if this continues to sell off. GLC has moved above the VWAP on volume. That actually looks pretty good. It looks like it back tested it too here. GLC, not terrible given what we've seen. Some of these names. STAI came back into the VWAP and bounced.
Looks like MDT, they had earnings today.
That's that medical device company that you like,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, this one, I own it. This one coming in doesn't look like they guided as to the expectations of investors. Still like this company. I'll be looking to add to my position on weakness.
Okay.
Could be an area right about where the 200-day SMA is. That's just above 85. But my more interesting level that I like would be 80. I don't even know if it'll get down there, but because I don't think the guidance was that bad. It just was below the estimate. Yeah, I still like this company. I think it'll be okay. Just let it give us a cheaper price, and I'll let y'all know when I'm picking more up.
ALLO new highs here today. New highs. You guys are also mentioning mRNA. Uh-oh. We lost 13. Looks like mRNA also beasting here today. There is your mRNA. Hey, there he is.
Oh, apparently I'm 18 now.
No, it says you're 13.
I'm 12.
Does that say 12?
13.
Oh, we replaced 13 with 12. Let's see. Market is, I don't want to call it trying to bounce here because it's tried to do this a few times here today and it has just gone lower. I mean, maybe it's trying to hold in here. We'll see here.
Yeah, let me go back to this buy. See what we got.
ALLO has been the trade of the day. I'm sorry I missed that. PRFX, maybe this is curling and make a move back to the VWAP there. Micron, this is strong here today.
Line out, let's mentioning Deere and Company.
Ooh, DE.
Looks like, what is this? This is not new all-time highs, is it?
Sure. Yeah, looks like it is.
Okay. We outlined, how this company's, their subscription model is great for the company, but awful for farmers. But higher it goes because they're kind of a lot of companies are entrenched with this with using their products.
That subscription model should actually be really good for the bottom line for Deere. I know you had said it good for Deere, good for the company, bad for the farmers. Yep. Should actually have an impact on its bottom line. See if Eat It put some new highs in here. How's Intel doing? Intel still cooking. Looks like it traded above 26. Couldn't hold it yet. I don't think it's over in Intel.
Although ALO going for the 500-day SMA. Let me take a look. See how far away we are from it. Oh shit. Okay. 357 is the 500-day SMA. RSI is at 80 right now. I won't say it's not possible. That's a really interesting level, by the way.
Yeah, back 1 second.
No problem. You can even just take a look at 355 and just see how that level's been, kind of where the price has topped out over the past almost 2 years. Every time, there's not over. I shouldn't say that. It's had some moments where it's pushed up there and then been rejected. It did get a breakout in February last year that took it up as high as 578, and then it came back in. And ever since then, it has been trying to get back above the 355 area, which is where the 500-day SMA is. I have that at 357. So it could be that we get up to that level and then we turn around. That's what could I would think would happen, especially with how extended the RSI is. Had a really nice, good couple of days. Wow. Reddit has pulled back significantly. KWE looks over. Take a look at those. RDDT. Oh, yeah. And we are going to have a visit with the 50-day SMA. And that's one pretty soon, it looks like. We're looking at Reddit right now.
Reddit? Let me go to the bigger chart here.
So the 50-day SMA is at 181.73. And we have not had any interaction with it since, September of last year. We were just talking about a stock that had the same action. Amazon, right? September of last year was the last time their 50 saw any price action?
I think so.
Yeah. September 11th. And then we got close a few times. We never actually touched it, but okay. Well,
Yep.
Starting to see some polling here in these runners that have not had any interaction with their 50-day SMA until now. Wow, Amazon is absolutely hammered today. When I say absolutely hammered, it's only down 1.25%.
Aloe's still ripping.
Oh, yes, KWE. That's the other one I was going to look at.
Calls for deer. Yeah, Amazon calls getting bought into this move down. So was it Izzy? Were you asking about a 225 possible support? Looks like we are seeing some call flow in here.
Does it seem like things kind of quieted down a little bit?
Yeah, it sure did. Now the market also stopped breaking down, so it's holding this level here. We'll see if it ends up going lower.
ACHR Archer is trying to move through its VWAP again. It's tried it all morning and not been very successful. This might be the one that it's successful on. So we'll see.
Yeah, 225. Yeah, Izzy, that Amazon 225 area, that might be something. I know we're 80 cents above it, but it looks like they're buying calls into that area. I'll tell you what, I'll show you something here that I don't like.
Show me something.
Show you something. I do not like this. I am hoping that something changes here, but let me show you this trend line that I got in my broker here on ONDS. Bottom right here, right through these two, and look where we are here today. We need to hold this. I really don't want to see this break. I know I've got a long-term approach on this. That's all well and good, but after some positive news here today, to be down 6% and to fill this trend break, I don't like it. I don't like it. I really want to hold this trend line here today. I know I hold this stock, and I've got a lot of it, but man, oh man, not great. Really need to hold this area here, ONDS. This is a nice, huge move here that I've been waiting for out of the pennies. But man, oh man, as it looks like it's trying to roll back over. We don't want to see that.
BBAI went down to 850 even and rebounded. I don't know that it's going to get back above 870.
What a head fake this was. God. This move higher here, I hope nobody got hurt on that. I hope that this move gave anyone that was trading this maybe gave you an opportunity to lighten from Friday. Because what a reversal. I mean, I don't think this I don't think this thing has any strength here today. I wouldn't be shocked if it rolled over right from here.
Well, if it does, I like $8.
Yeah, 871. We're currently at 869. I wouldn't be shocked if this rolled over from here.
Because because you're looking at the consolidation and the lows from the pre-market.
Uber back to VWAP. So here you go, Izzy. So we'll see if we can hold VWAP here. Might be a trade here on Uber. And I kind of want to take it, but I've just been... It's like hood continues to break down. My God. Amazon pounding the lows, 225.25.
Dutch Bros put a new high in today.
Again, God. After an amazing start to the year, I've really started to cool down here, unfortunately.
We might have to look at new themes because it seems like the ones that are that we've been on are starting to unwind a little bit.
Yep.
So maybe there's what's that?
I'm just laughing at Jay. This, by the way, this did hold this 85 here on Bros for a possible floating island there. And I'm sorry for distracting you in the middle of what you were saying. Okay. Jay was mentioning Mullen here. Mullen looking good. Don't miss this move. Yeah, a move back down to zero, I think is what you're referring to.
A move next into the next offering and reverse split. That's the only moves that thing makes. Raise capital, lose it, reverse split, start over.
God, Netflix at the lows. Things turning ugly here. I tell you what, I mean, maybe it's just for the stuff on my screen, but things are really starting to get worse. And I'll tell you something, we ain't seen nothing yet. If this SPY really breaks and starts to come in more, I think we might see some more accelerated selling in some of these names.
There's a lot of
Uber breaking the 13. Uber breaking the VWAP, going lower now, unable to hold that VWAP.
There's still a lot of support levels on the way down for SPY before it gets to 600. So, we can always talk and identify those, but it's going to be previous all-time highs, the 20-day SMA, and more previous all-time highs. The 50-day SMA, that's at 599.08. That's going to be that could be the big one. We get multiple closes underneath that, then we might that might tell the tale of where the SPY is headed over the next month. Excuse me. Just looking around now, trying to see if I see anything that's setting up.
Uber calls got bought into this move back down to VWAP. SPY looking like it's hunting lower, dude.
Supercom is had a nice reversal. It got support from VWAP, and now it's making new highs. It's SPCB.
Okay, this was one of the junk names, wasn't it?
I don't know. I think this was one of the ones that we were looking at.
I'm pretty sure this is one of the junk names that Andy was on.
Oh yes, you're right. It is. Yes, low float. Yep, that's the one.
I'm gonna wait some of this market weakness out here. I'll be honest with you. I've already tried one trade, got slapped. See if we try another here. Wait for this to firm up. How are we doing on SPY volume 2? Pathetic. 5.3 million shares.
Really?
Yep.
That's pretty low. Crypto? Is Bitcoin coming back?
Bitcoin moved down here, 95K on the futures. It's holding there. That chart actually doesn't look as bad as the SPY. The SPY looks like it wants to go lower. We'll see here, though. Mike saying BA mysteriously up 2% even after Toronto. That wasn't a Boeing plane.
Well, I don't.
It was a Bombardier jet.
The Delta crash you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that
was not a Boeing plane.
Even if it was a Boeing plane, the runway conditions. I mean, is it really on them? I guess I'm a little bit conflicted about.
I'm no 13. I think you're making an excellent point here. I think this is more on Pilot Air than anything else. I think this is more on Pilot Air.
Okay. But
Lion saying, Ryan 13, we need to start looking at NTR, Mosaic, and FMC as they usually do very well going into spring. I'm interested in some of those other two. I am so pissed off at SMC. That was easily the second worst trade of all of last year for me. I don't need to go back there. I'll look at one of those other plays if we identify that as a theme. I bought that and it went down that day and never went green.
NGR, though, with a bit of a, I guess you could say it's a bull flag starting from the beginning of this year. And we have earnings in 2 days, so has a nice setup. I mean, this thing is really starting to look like it wants to go higher with how it's, the selling has, slowed down. These recapture that 500-day SMA.
Miko saying not really pilot error versus weather conditions. I'm not a flying expert. The people that I talk to that are flying experts, they both kind of looked and said, they probably should have approached that a little bit differently. I don't think you can just say, well, the runway was snowy, so it's the weather.
Well, you also got to take into consideration a control tower cleared than the land.
Yeah. Steve here saying our runway on Saturday at JFK felt super sketchy and you could feel the slippage while the plane was braking. I felt that too, actually. I used to go to the Tucson Gem Show, which is in mid-February. Went there 3 years in a row. And that flight back into Chicago, it was almost always snowy. I felt the same thing in my last one. I felt like when the plane was braking, I felt like it was actually skidding. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. But anyway.
Yeah, CF Horseman. Yeah, that's PCB. That's that ran up to 1342. Got to hold above 13 if we want to see higher highs. Not the greatest day.
Mike, that Boeing plane, it wasn't a Boeing plane, Mike. It was a Bombardier plane. But the plane in Toronto thought they were Maverick and Goose. Oh, Mike.
Because he was inverted?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
See, I think we can joke about that because nobody died.
He didn't do the sign.
We can joke about that because nobody was killed in that crash.
Thank God, by the way. Fairchild here says, looked like the pilot came in too hot, felt he was going to overshoot and tried to hit the tarmac too high at a rate of descent. That's what I mean. A hard landing like that, got to think that the pilot is somewhat at fault there. The big takeaway, the most important thing, like I had said at the outset when we were taking a look at that, is that nobody died. I mean, thank God. We've had enough of this really terrible accidents. By the way, quick check in on Delta. This actually did go green after that. So Delta was only down about 1% here in the pre-market, did go green temporarily, holding it about unchanged here. Okay, market looks like maybe it's starting to firm up here. I don't know if I want to be fooled here. What do you guys think? Do we buy the dip here? 1037 coming up on 11. I don't know. That feels like kind of a gamble to me. Tell you what I would want to see here in SPY, I would want to see a nice convincing reclaim of this VWAP. I currently have that at 610.26. That'd make me feel a little bit better about this being firmed up here.
What does the 5-minute chart show me? Well, just give me a second. I'm going to look at something here.
Yeah, and real quickly regarding the whole like pilot conversation, I'm just having a discussion. First of all, I think there's no connection to Boeing with it being a different plane. And like I said, I'm not an aviation expert, but one of the reasons that I have an opinion and that I care about that is because that is the plane that I fly all the time from Chicago to Detroit.
610.30 would be a level to watch for, I think, in SPY.
Okay. So on the way back up then, 610.30?
Yeah, if you draw a line.
You know what, though? That's 4 cents over the VWAP.
Well, you go to like the 5-minute chart and draw a line right at that level and look and see how we were how that price was interacted with on Friday. After we got the big moves up and they came back in, that was the 610.30 level was the level that it tried to recapture and failed, and it did that on multiple times. So I'm kind of interested in that level as being a level of make or break. If it can get above it, then we could push up higher to the 610.78 previous all-time high, or maybe even new all-time highs. But if it can't, then I think we just continue to consolidate a little bit more.
So here we come. We're coming up off the lows there on SPY.
But yeah, draw a line there and just look to the left. You can see how what it is I'm referring to.
What was the value again? I'm sorry.
It's 610.30.
610.30. Let's get the horizontal line tool out here. Let's get 610.30 marked off, and look at that.
Yeah.
Thursday.
So I think that would be where I would kind of peg the make or break on this price action we're getting here. It has to recapture that. Otherwise, I think we consolidate some more, maybe even head lower. GCL,
core producer, man.
GCL with new regular session highs. The pre-market high is 907, but this thing is moving right now.
Ryan, I believe as long as the SPY holds over that previous day doji, let me actually go to the daily chart here on the small chart. That should actually make it easier to see. Yeah, so here's what you're saying. So here's that doji that you're talking about. As long as SPY holds over this previous day doji body, the market has a chance to move up. Okay, so you're basically saying that your key level here is the top end of this body here, right? And we have that at 609.94. So we're 8 cents away from that. And you're saying as long as it holds above this, you think there's a chance that we go higher there. Okay, I can be on with that.
But that's the open. The close is 609.70. So that range, that 609.94 to 609.70, that's where we have
I think he said, though, previous day doji body. Yeah, over that. So I was talking about the right level.
Because that spinning top, that could be continuation candle or it could be a reversal candle.
And so a lot's going to depend on this close, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of a lot depending on some of the closes, maybe we shook out some of the negativity early on. God, what happened to did I put it on the wrong chart? Here you go. ONDS holding that trend line. Fingers crossed, folks. Fingers crossed. All right, and a quick look ahead, really quick, just as kind of the agenda here for today. We already had T3. We do have an all access. Can't wait to talk to my friend Dan Leach. We'll see how he's doing. We also have Anne Marie coming up. She's joining the chat. Love it. And then we've got Tech Tune Up with Paul Meeks. So we got a full morning here of content for you folks. Uber might be testing that VWAP.
Some of these names, the movers that we were mentioning this morning, are trying to curl back up. EFOI, SLDB, GCL still having a really good move. WRD still having a hard time with a VWAP recapture.
How about ALLO? Where did we go with that one? ALLO, probably the trade of the day. Okay, this back to VWAP here, actually.
Did it hit that level I was talking about? Let's see. We didn't. Did we get there? What was the high? The high was what? 376. So what? We popped over the 500-day SMA, then came back in.
And we're holding here at VWAP. Yeah, ONDS at that 173 level, Glenn. That looks to be a key level. Hopefully we can hold that here. And Tron asking, Tran, if I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry about that. What do you think of Dell? This is an interesting question. We had some news on Friday on Dell that really kind of sent this here. We actually moved higher here today. So let's go back here. Watching TSS shares spike higher as traders circulate a partner with Dell. Dell shares are trading higher after Bloomberg reported that the company is nearing a deal to sell $5 billion in AI servers to XAI. So your Dell popped on this, actually several points. For any of you still wondering if Benzinga Pro can actually help you with trading. I'll tell you something. The hooting and hollering from the Benzinga pro traders that I know that caught this off Charlie's squawk, this thing started moving in the 110 handle, topped out at 116. We had traders that were grabbing this on the way up, 112, 113, capturing multiple points in the matter of a minute on Dell. Now, that's just for a day trade purpose. You can see here, Dell's actually resolved higher here. And so I wonder, to your point here, what's the next spot here on Dell? Do we keep moving higher here? I'd be looking at this 125, 126 area. We can take that out.
I'd say that depends on how it goes with SMCI later this month.
I think you're probably right. That's a really good point, 13. And here's a trend line that we'll just throw on here. I'm sure we'll come back to this. I'd like to see this trend get collapsed as well.
I would think that if SMCI does, report all of their earnings and does all their filings and is compliant and all that stuff, and if it goes, then you might see Dell take the opposite side. Now, if none of that ends up happening with SMCI, then I think Dell could end up doing really well.
Okay. Jerry. Hello, Jerry. I'll say, Jerry, good morning, everybody. I'm just coming back here. Been out of commish, working through some health stuff. Starting to feel better. Love your show. Wondering about STIM. Well, first of all, we can absolutely take a look at STIM here. But perhaps more importantly, Jerry, health is wealth, buddy. So you take all the time that you need to get back to yourself. We'll be here. We'll be waiting for you. So don't you worry about that. Health is wealth, brother. Good to hear that you're feeling better here. I'll look at STIM here. Let me actually go to a bigger chart. We'll break this down here for you. 13, I don't know if you've ever looked at STIM before. Pretty nice move here. Really, the question for me, what happens at $5, right? You can see what?
Yep, right. $5.
Especially with the volume profile here. This is one of the reasons why people like volume profile. Look how well it held the shelf and the volume point of control. Now we're extremely extended right here. So I don't think there's a new trade to be had right here. But what is going to happen at $5 here? We're overcooked on the RSI. Honestly, what I'd like to see here, I'd like to see a hold. I'd like to see a hold, maybe even a move back down. I got a volume shelf in here right about $3. And I like to see some of these moving averages come up towards the price. But a critical decision point here at 5. This is either going to be rejected or it's going to take this out. I could see this maybe as high as 7 if it takes that out. Good to have you back, Jerry.
I don't know that I'd want to be in this one at this stage with how high it's run. I think you're right about $5. I think they're going to have to. I mean, and I don't know if they've done one, since this balance sheet, but they need cash. I'm looking at their income statement. They're now into burning double digits in the millions, and their balance sheet says that they have, maybe a quarter and a half left worth of cash at this burn rate. So I feel like this could make an announcement that they're trying to raise capital at some point, and it takes it lower. Maybe at 5. I don't know. I think I'd be very careful with this one, though.
Okay.
Oh wait, look, nope. They do have an offering announcement down from February 7th.
So they're going to need to do that here. You would imagine they do that pretty soon.
So they announced the pricing of it at $2.25 a share, which is much lower than where it is, and I don't know if this is already something that they've completed or not, because I only see that they've announced the pricing. So I'd have to look more into that. But if they haven't yet, then that's gonna hit the stock at some point. Also, take note of the insider selling. Lots of insider selling this month.
Okay.
So I'd be careful with this one.
Good stuff there.
Especially around 5. Okay. So
Mike calling for a short NVIDIA, short Qs, and short Coinbase. Yikes. Mike, bearish across the board, I think it's fair to say.
What just happened?
I don't know if it's something that just happened, more or less just his trading plan here. He said those bond sales last week were terrible.
SPY looked like it was turning around for a moment. Got rejected at about 610.25. How does that line up with what we were talking about earlier?
And remember, I know you were talking about bonds there. We actually had Christian on earlier, likes that TLT, gave us a pretty good area there too. Likes this over 100 to the 102 area on a TLT if it turns around here.
I'm not sure. I mean, the VWAP was about where we got this rejection in SPY on the 5. I'm looking at the 5-minute, but VWAP should, it's about 610 and 14 cents, and we got as high as it's almost, what is it, 620 almost? Yeah.
13. We're going to go over to All Access here. Any closing words for the group?
Oh, well, I'm going to try to get better so that I don't sound like I'm speaking through a wall, and I'll be back here tomorrow, hopefully feeling a lot better. Be careful with your trades today. This is not looking like the greatest day to trade. So maybe sitting on your hands isn't too bad of an idea. Just protect yourself, folks, so that we can come back here and have some more fun tomorrow. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
All right, 13. Thanks again for toughing it out. We'll see you tomorrow. Feel better.
All right, what we'll do.
All right, now 13's departure. That leaves room. Let's go ahead and bring him on. There he is. There's the guy. There's my guy. Dan, how you doing, man?
Did I miss you? It's been a little while. It's been emotional without you. The dream's alive.
The dream is alive. Let me tell you something. You enjoying any of this hockey? They are running circles around every league for the All-Star break. How about that?
Listen, that was my big question to you, because obviously we can always talk football, but this 4-day, first off, 3 fights between Canada and U.S. in the first 9 seconds, booing the national anthem. The drama is crazy. You're right. They are running circles around other leagues, Pro Bowl games, and the NBA All-Star game with a slam dunk contest with Mac McClung winning 3 in a row. I am loving this, and I think it's a great way to kind of juice things up mid-season.
Yeah,
Hockey League.
I'm with you totally on that. I tried to do the NBA All-Star Week. It was just no offense.
Well, I just do it for betting purposes, so I got to put some cash on it.
Yeah, I'm slowing down on the bets here, although Thursday, that rematch, we'll have something going. Dan, what do you got coming up for us on All Access here?
Really excited to talk to Dr. Christopher J. Shaber. He's the CEO and president of Sologenics. Should be a lot of fun. Fascinating company.
All right. Awesome. Dan, take it away. I'll catch you after.
Thanks so much, Rye Guy. Hey, Zingers, and welcome to All Access. I've got a fantastic guest for you today. It is Dr. Christopher J. Shaber, PhD, the president and CEO of Sologenics. The NASDAQ ticker is SNGX. He's joining us for an exclusive talk today. All Access starts right now. And it is my pleasure to welcome in the president and CEO of Sologenics, Dr. Christopher J. Shaber. It is fantastic to be with you today, Christopher.
Dan, thanks for having me.
Well, I'm sorry, I got to refer to you as doctor. You got the PhD, so let's give you the correct title. Let's start off here. Just give an overview of your company, Sologenics.
Sure. Sologenics is a late-stage biopharmaceutical company focused on developing and commercializing products to treat rare diseases, areas of unmet medical need. I think what makes our company so unique is we have 2 business segments. We have a specialized biotherapeutics focused on small molecules and oncology and inflammation, and a separate public health solutions segment that's focused predominantly on heat-stable vaccines for emerging infectious diseases, bio-threats like rice and toxin exposure. And this segment of our business has been funded up to $60 million in U.S. government funding to date. So a pretty nice way to build out a pipeline.
Yeah, and important stuff in this day and age with what you guys are doing. And I wanted to ask you about Hybrid. What is Hybrid, and any updates in the clinical trials? How close to the market are you?
So Hybrid is our lead asset. It's the brand name for synthetic hypericin, which is a topical drug you apply to cancerous lesions on the skin. The cancer is called cutaneous T-cell lymphoma, or CTCL. This is a chronic type of cancer, incurable cancer. And we treat it by applying our drug to the skin and activating with safe, visible fluorescent or LED light to shrink the lesions on the skin. So currently, we're in a confirmatory phase 3 study. Our first phase 3 was positive, statistically significant. And we're now doing a replication study of longer duration, and that's actively enrolling. Along those lines, we also have an investigator-initiated study that's going on simultaneously at the University of Pennsylvania. And this study is also using hybrid for up to 1 year treatment, very long durations of treatment. And what's intriguing with that study is at 18 weeks, where you look at it, which is the time point for our confirmatory phase 3, it's showing very strong responses, which is a good indicator of what we may see with the confirmatory phase 3 study.
And let's talk about the commercialization plan. If you receive full regulatory approval for hybrid, what is that going to be?
Currently we're thinking ex-US will partner, and the US will commercialize ourselves since it's an orphan disease. The commercial footprint is relatively small to really commercialize that effectively. However, we are in a number of business development discussions, so we'll see where those go over the next year or so as we look to roll out that marketing. Right now, with the current phase 3 study, we'll have top line results. What I've said publicly is in 2026. So you would imagine that 2027 would be the time for approval and commercialization. It could move up depending on enrollment in the study, and I'll be providing enrollment updates a little bit later in the year. So that's moving along. But right now, we're open and looking at the opportunities, what's best to build shareholder value at the end of the day.
Great possibilities ahead. Let's talk about SGX 302. How big of an issue is psoriasis, and what kind of market is there? I know my dad's got it, and I have a lot of friends that are dealing with it right now.
Yeah, a lot of people have, millions of people have it, right? And we focus with our therapy. It's the same active ingredient in hybrid, that synthetic hypericin. We apply topically to the patches or plaques on the skin in mild to moderate psoriasis. We have a phase 2 study actively enrolling. We'll have top line results there mid-year this year. And it's significant, right? You have roughly 7 million people with psoriasis in the United States and as many as 100 million worldwide. So although it's very large, it's still an underserved market because of the safety of many of the therapies that are used and approved here. It's a very difficult disease to treat, and we think we have a very safe frontline option for that early stage disease.
That's great stuff to hear. Let's talk about Thermovax. How is your Thermovax platform shaping the development and potential success of your vaccine candidates?
Well, that Thermovax is in our public health solutions segment, and this is a heat stabilization platform where we can take our subunit vaccines and be able to lyophilize them or freeze dry them into a powder. You could then store it for many years, right? We have data now of over 100 degrees Fahrenheit at 2 years, and it maintains 100% of its activity, zero degradation. So as you would imagine, for stockpiling, for sending the vaccines to developing worlds where you don't need a cold chain distribution like we struggled with early on with the COVID-19 vaccines, this really opens up an opportunity to really be able to distribute our subunit vaccines worldwide with no real issues with having to refrigerate or freeze.
Now, Dr. Shamer, I know we're listening and living in very interesting times. Will your research be impacted by the recent executive order targeting that NIH grant funding?
That's a great question. I think we're all looking. I think we're hopeful and optimistic that given the fact that we're on the front lines with many of these emerging infectious diseases and biothreats that we will not be impacted. But it remains to be seen, right? I mean, as I noted, this segment of our business has been funded entirely by the U.S. government, and we require that funding to continue to move this segment forward. So we're still doing our work and looking and hoping that that funding continues, but we'll see. Again, we're pretty optimistic that we will not be impacted, but time will tell.
Well, Dr. Shamer, it was an absolute pleasure talking with you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. That was the president and CEO of Sologenics, the great Dr. Christopher J. Shamer. The NASDAQ ticker is SNGX. Now let's send it back to the man that invented the Super Bowl shuffle out of dare, the great Ryan Faluda.
I'll be honest with you. I wish I could take credit for that. I'm not a dancer, even the Super Bowl shuffle.
I got some skill. I'll teach you the moves.
Hey, you're telling me I get a free dance lesson from the Dan Leach? Dan, I'm in. Priceless. I am in.
My guy, priceless.
Okay, look, we got a couple of minutes here before we go over to Anne-Marie's segment. I guess I'll just ask you, what do you think is going to happen here on Thursday? What do you got lined up for this week?
Listen, I'll
Sports
tell
wise,
you.
sorry.
What's that?
Sports wise, if I wasn't
Well,
clear.
no, as far as the Four Nations Cup, listen, I mentioned, and we talked about this earlier, when you've got three, I'm not just talking about like three fights at the same time, three separate fights in the first 9 seconds of a Canada-USA game, and then people are like, oh, it's tough times, and nothing to do with the politics. That's just because they hate each other. You know that game, especially after the U.S., they played some of their backup players in the close shave, loss yesterday. But I'll tell you, this is a rivalry that is on par with like Michigan, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama, during the Cold War rush on the U.S. It's just up there. By the way, great cat. What's the cat's name? Is it Mr. Whiskers?
Cat's name is Buddy.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Crow, you should be there. We go. Crow was giving me some crap earlier because Buddy hasn't been around. He likes to sometimes crash the show here.
He asked you, is he lifting the weights? Does Buddy lift the weights though?
He does not, but he's a bit of a slacker. Weights are for me. Weights are for me.
Sorry, I was going to say, back to my point. Thursday, it's going to be unbelievable. These games are back in the U.S. now, and it's a TD Bank North Garden in Boston, right? So I can't wait. I just think that Team USA is better than Canada, not because they're better always. Like, we always want the Team USA to win. I just feel like they have a much better team and they have great goaltending, and I feel like it's going to be a U.S. win, and it's going to really, Canada's backside.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there 100%. You know what I mean? I grew up watching hockey in the 90s, right? So I grew up watching guys like Keith Tkachuk and obviously the 96 tournament where Keith Tkachuk started the USA-Canada match with a fight there. No surprise to see both of his sons go at it right out of the gate there. He was a proud papa for that game. I cannot wait till Thursday. I'll be watching that. I know our Canadian friends here in the chat. Crow, I know you said Canada will never recover. I don't know, man. Let's see what happens on this final. Dan, I agree with you. I think for the first time, the U.S. has really done a good job with their developmental program here in the United States, and I think the talent level is on par with Canada. I absolutely think they can win that game.
Now, let me just say this. I know we have a lot of Canadian friends in the chat. We love all of them. They're our great neighbors to the north. I'm here in Detroit, right by the Windsor border. But I do have a friend that likes using the term ABC when it comes to any international hockey competition. Anybody but Canada. That's what's going to happen on Thursday.
Okay. I'm not picking any fights with our Canadian
brother.
That's
a friend of mine, not me. Just via him. But I just think it's funny. But we love our neighbors north. But Ryan, you know how much they want to win anything they play against us. If they lose that game, even though it's not an Olympics or some of the U18 national championships or international championships, they will be very, very angry.
Yeah, no question. I think everybody's going to get up for that game. In fact, I actually heard a story before the last game. The player who filled in for Cale Makar, his name is escaping me, was actually set to go to Cancun with his friends. When he got a call saying, hey, we need someone to fill in, he said, yep, no problem. Canceling my vacation. I'll be there. And he played. So to your point, they care. This should be good on Thursday. Dan, we're going to check in with you. Have a good rest of your day, right?
Oh, the Faluna and Squat show is coming up soon, by the way.
Oh, dude, don't get me too excited here. I still got some more work to do. I will. Oh, man. Now you're teasing it. Let's go, Dan. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.
Sure.
That's Dan Leach, folks. He's always teasing the really cool stuff. Oh, I can't wait. Sorry about the sports minute there, but as you see, the U.S.-Canada rivalry here, it is alive and well here at BZ. Now, Dan's departure leaves room for the one and only Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, I'm going to need your help bringing us back down to stock market land here because I just got really excited talking about sports. Good news here is that when I left, it looked like the SPY wasn't really bouncing. Now that we're back here, SPY does look like maybe it put in a bottom and is bouncing here. So what do you got for us today for option trades?
So we got a lot of things potentially going on. I want to make sure that you can see my screen. Hang on 2 secs.
No problem.
Share this window. Okay, great. And so I wanted to take a look at a couple of things. First of all, the SMCI move, because this was the one that I thought, okay, we've got ourselves a blow off top. It's coming off of, this is just a natural liquidation break. Someone said, hey, I have no idea about the sell-off. Here's what's been happening. Every new high, big money is trimming their gains. And so we see that with liquidity breaks off these brand new highs that leave little wicks. It's just a natural place. We're in a pretty big sideways patch in my mind. But let's jump to SMCI. My thought was, hey, they're going to come up to 50, and there are two groups of people that are going to be there. One, shorts, who are pretty sure that 50 is going to hold, and longs who said, oh my gosh, I'm going to get out once it gets here. So what I actually suspect is going on here, especially since we tested the high and we've been leaking, is shorts that are covering. And so what we talked about last time was this iron condor for March, and I had it at the 50-55. It was a little bit cheaper a few days ago. It's now at about 250, but this 48 put, I bought it at 60 cents. It went to 80 cents and now it's back at 60 cents. But I bought it near the highs this morning, and I'm expecting it to fade over the next 3 days.
Okay.
But if you're someone that says, hey, I think this chart is going to hold, going long in this high volatility, high implied volatility puts you a lot at risk in my mind, but you could do it if you were looking to scrape about, I don't know, maybe 30%. So if we went to the 52s and we chose the 56s, where would we be? 52, 56, $4. Okay, so I don't think it's going to go past 56 tomorrow, but if it does, this long call spread is going to do a really nice job for us, because it's already $54 and we bought the 52 for $1.83. So we are a little bit in the green, even if it stalls out there and just stays at that 54 area. Ideally, I would say, why not a butterfly that takes us into the same 60 area, and that's about 89 cents. And so what that'll do is, if it goes to 56 and stalls out in the next couple of days, we're going to get a $4 move there. So that would be about 3x in terms of our risk to reward, and it's only 3 days. So that's totally up to you. Me, I'm going to stick with my 48 put, simply because I think it is going to come back into that range. Market is just, go ahead.
I was going to say, so first of all, just on some of the things that you outlined there, I agree with you. I wouldn't be shocked if SMCI pulls back here. But as far as those upside bets, I think I like the butterfly a lot more than the vert spread that you had on there.
Yeah, half the price.
Yeah, and I'm
Same
almost
reward.
I'm almost wondering here if the best way, if you're unsure, the best way to play both sides here, to me, looks like the butterfly and the puts.
Exactly.
So
exactly,
that's the way I would do this from right here on SMCI. I like that, Anne-Marie.
Great. Okay, so you had talked about Sirius just a little bit ago. I got onto the call this morning and I was listening to it as I was doing my other morning stuff, and I was like, who is that on with Ryan? I don't even recognize that voice. And then I looked in there and it was 13. I'm like, Okay, he is really sick.
I'll
So,
tell you something. I'm always amazed. I know that a lot of us, some of our work obligations are from home. It looks like you're at home. I'm at home. 13's at home. But still, if you pull yourself together to work through sickness, especially with the market, something like that, my props. So the fact that he showed up here is great. He heals like Wolverine, so I'm expecting him to be better.
awesome. Oh,
Really, shout out to 13 for making it through the day under the
Yeah.
weather.
probably because he doesn't eat Beyond Meat. So,
You were around all session here today. That's good stuff. I like how we tied that weave back together right here. Yeah, that was good.
I know it. So, Sirius I thought 13's commentary on the robo-taxi was pretty clever. It's
Mhm.
insightful and certainly might be something. So if we take a look at this chart though, it's it's a visit to Heartbreak Hotel in general. And it's getting out of enjoyed watching my neighbors go to work today. That's very funny. Um, It's had some nice bounces, but man, oh man, just when you think it's going to be out of the woods, it breaks down again. And this is a 10-year chart, and 32 is about as high as we've seen it go in, well, let's see, in what year was this? 2024, in July of 2024, it had a really nice bounce. Could it be on an updraft? Yes, but I think it's going to take time to consolidate around
Mhm.
here. So if you're thinking about this, I would suggest think wide angle and far away and position something that says, okay, if I get to 30, then maybe I can get to 40, and then I can sell something cheap to finance the ride from 30 to 40. And so if it holds, which I'm not sure it will, we could go all the way up to June, maybe even September. And if we choose the 30, whoa, they don't give it to us. All right, let's go 30, 35, 40. That's a 1 by 2 by 1 butterfly. It's only 9 cents, and it gives us tons of
Hmm.
time to let it work out the wiggles, and it's almost free. Now, almost free could mean absolutely free if it
Sure.
rolls over. But if it doesn't, it's in a pretty nice spot. You might have to leave it out in the queue to fill
Yeah.
for a while because there's no volume sitting at the 40 ledge. And, that certainly could change if the news moves that way. Now, if you're a bear and you think this has the possibility of rolling right back over to 20, you could also do that in the the September environment, and you could do the 20s. Ooh, those are kind of expensive, those 20s. A lot of people
Yeah.
sitting there. You could do the 20 to the 18 to the 16, and it would be 14 cents. Now, only $2 to the upside if this rotates over. But a beautiful thing you can do when a chart pulls back into a deeper support zone, but it doesn't get any lower, you can always sell that 20, take the full credit, and then buy the 16 and have yourself a short
Hmm.
put spread. So that I love doing that because the 20, if it does fade a little bit, this 20, let's say it pulls back $4. Let's just say, right? Pulls back 20% or whatever, right? Because it's up it's only up about percent. But let's say it just pulls back $2. If it pulls back $2, the price action will be like 22 looks right now. And so that 20 you could sell for about $1.30 and then turn it into a short put as it continues the bounce to the north.
Okay, interesting. Now, really, just a quick follow-up question here, and you might not have an answer for this, and that's fine. This stock did a 10-for-1 split, reverse split on September. Let me get the date. September 10th, I believe it is. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Yes, did a 1 for of last year, the 2024. So on September 10th, that was the day that it was ex-div for the purpose of this split. It did a 1 for 10 reverse split. So for the longest time, this was a single-digit stock, and it really didn't trade that well. And it seems to me now, after it's done this reverse, it actually trades a lot better. And so one of the reasons why I was interested in 13's commentary there is because I feel like now that we've got a price and a 20 handle here, we might actually see some of this movement that you need to get those options trades working. Do you have any anecdotal experience to this at all? Do you notice sometimes when some of these stocks do reverses like that, they're easier to trade or they get more movement?
Well, when it's a very cheap stock and it gets a reverse split, it moves away from the speculative penny situation. And did somebody send
No,
me
you
some
have an
balloons?
apple.
What was
So when
that?
you do some of the screen gestures, it throws emojis up there. So I guess that's what happened. No, I thought that was
Sorry.
awesome. I was like, this is great. I don't have a Mac right now, so I can talk with my hands and nothing's going to happen.
Wow, I had no idea. Okay, so what I have noticed is that once it starts getting up over 20, there's more interest from a wider variety that doesn't have that sort of savage momentum drift that can easily be manipulated as much. And so, yeah, I think it's got legs. I do. The question is legs to where? And so the reason that I think 30 might be a good space is because, and I'll draw this Fibonacci to let us see this. I've got the low to the high, and 38 is that 50% range. I think if we give this time to just settle out and get one more good earnings under their belt, it's going to run. And right now, it's cheap as could be to pick it up on a butterfly like that. So have at it.
Do you have anything else on your list? I got a list of stocks reporting earnings this week.
No, you go for it.
I'll let you pick here when we can also explore the options chains if necessary. But I think some of the bigger movers that we have: Oxy, Toll, Carvana, Baba, Walmart. Now there's more on this list. So if none of those work out, we can look at some better ones. But those, at least to my eye here, look like they might give us trade setups.
Absolutely. So we know Oxy is moving because I think Buffett just put out another 10Q that got parsed through, and he still holds a lot of Oxy, and we should see a little bit of bounce action in the energy sector because it's faded pretty far. We're coming into earnings with Oxy, and those are
earnings here are tomorrow after the market. Oh, excuse me. Beg your pardon. I'm so sorry. They're today after the market closes. The conference call is tomorrow. Apologize.
Perfect. All right. So it's got a little bit of a double bottom on the weekly. It's got positive momentum on the weekly into earnings. So we're going to anticipate some sort of reflexive bounce, potentially into the 50 or 55 number eventually. But let's see what it did last earnings. Last earnings, so week after that, it bounced. Earnings before that, week of, it bounced and then sort of gave it up. And so this one, continuation, Not seeing any solid patterns because that's a continuation. And then this one was a bounce, went well for a week, and then it was done. All right, so the quick move is probably the move to go after here. This one is a bounce that held and continued. So trend looks terrible, right? Momentum is still negative, but we're dancing up in the bottom of this, the midline of the Keltner. And the last few times we breached that Keltner. So I expect we do it again. So I'm going to say 50 is probably where we test, but let's see what the chains tell us. All right, let's first we're going to look at Gambling Man. Gambling Man here is going to take a look at what's going on. And I put on my Gambling Man hat because we've got 3 days to expiration in case anybody was wondering, what is she even talking about? So the option chains are pricing in $2.30 of a move, and the market makers are saying 212. So those are pretty much on the money. And so if we think, hey, this is going to move into 50, that call is 63 cents. If you want to sell some of it off because you're thinking, hey, I just don't want to spend the whole thing, you could say, I mean, it could go to 56. So flat out, that would be the call to go on if you're just saying, hey, I'm going to YOLO into the trade. The next one, let's see where the traders are. The traders are sitting at 45, but I'm fairly sure that's probably selling pressure. So 47.50, let's take a look at that number. Yeah, 47.50 looks like it's just shy of this week's action. So yeah, I mean, you could do that. My thought would be, you take a look at the 50s, it's 60 cents. Now remember, I called myself Gambling Man here. And so easily you could see if they don't move at all, because the vol is 63%, they don't move at all, goes to zero. If it moves a little bit, but not a lot, maybe it moves to at the money, you could get maybe 5% because this number is going to drop. That 63% implied vol is going to drop by almost 20% for the following week. So if you're thinking, all right, let's move it out just a little. Let's see if this actually can do something. You can go to, wow, there's a bunch of them at 60. You could go to the 50 and then maybe a 1/3. Hang on. A 1/3 by 2, and it would be $1. $1,000 of upside, no margin risk, and it costs you $1. And you got a whole month. So once again, if it creeps up to the 50s and it gets near there to go in the money, it could easily be worth $2, but it might not look like it's worth $2 sitting in the butterfly, at which point, close to expiration, you can sell the 50s and buy the 65s, and you end up with a short call spread if the price action stops moving.
Okay. Good stuff there on Oxy. Really quickly here, Warren, Berkshire Hathaway holds 28.24% stake in this company.
Percent.
Just
Huge.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely huge. Okay, good stuff there. Now, some other ones that we had here on this list. Actually, that was actually a pretty good one. Toll, TOL. That maybe that will work. CCJ, Rivian, Walmart. We got a couple we can pick from here. Baba, if you want to do that.
Okay. How about if we look at the Carvana one? Or did we look at Carvana already?
I don't think so. I spoke about Carvana with Christian this morning from T3, but I don't think you and I covered it together. Jay here saying up 100 since Hindenburg retired. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this chart. Look at this cup. This to me looks like a cup and handle.
That very big one, right? So here we are coming into earnings also, correct? Isn't earnings today or tomorrow?
Let me get you the exact. It's this week.
Tomorrow
after the close.
Yeah. Tomorrow after the close. So we've got ourselves a very nice bullish hello, Anne-Marie. That is, use the minus sign to go smaller. That's what happens. Minus smaller plus bigger. Sorry. So we're looking at a breakout formation, very close to the big fat round number of 300, right? And so expectations are really high going into this earnings event. So let's take a peek and look what's happened over the last 5 earnings, right? A little bit of a nothing burger, but held upside pressure. Big bounce upside and then stayed sideways for several weeks. Another big upside, but came all the way back to prior resistance before breaking out again. Same thing here, big move upside, comes back into prior resistance. You can see that number right there. They sort of sell off that space. This one, good run up for 4 weeks or so, pulls back, stops just shy of prior resistance and moves higher again. So this very big move was retraced a lot. So let's see what kind of retrace this is, and then I'll tell you why I'm thinking about a retrace potentially on any kind of run up. Okay, so it moved back a little bit over 50%, probably 61.8 if I were a betting man. And so now, let's remove that Fibonacci. Now we're looking at this move, and I think it's on its way to this big breakout area at 326, but I would not want to hold this for a long time. I think it would go into this area, have a blow off top, and then retrace like all the other times it has through just about every single earnings event. And so let's take a peek at what the chains are telling us. So vol very high. Let's see where the traders are sitting. Oh, they're all over the chains. 2,300 of them at 290, 2,200 of them at 300, and then 310. So
no, I'm sorry. Yes. I was reading the numbers out loud, and that to me just kind of looked like your butterfly right there.
Yeah, look at you, mister. Okay, 60 cents for the upside pressure event. So that's just for 3 days, moving into the 300s. Now, it should be cheaper if we move out into, let's see, March. Let's just flip this to March. 23 cents. And so, and it gives us a little time. And on top of that, if it comes into the 300, but it can't seem to break away, what is going on with the flickering?
Oh, I don't see it on the broadcast.
Oh, yeah. So if per happenstance, it comes into this 300 area and just starts choking around, or gets into the 310 and starts rolling off, you can always just sell that 300 outright. If it goes to being in the money, it could be worth as much as, 25 bucks. And so you could sell it and then buy the 320s, collect about $15, and then just leave the short call spread if it begins to collapse like we think it has.
Okay, interesting.
The
So
likelihood
you're
of
saying if
doing
you
that.
get the pop, then sell the 300, and then
Yeah.
you said you're saying add to the 320 to make it an even spread there. Got you. Okay,
Yes. So
interesting.
you don't have so you don't now if you have a large portfolio, then you can just say, hey, I'm selling the 3,000 and then I've got myself a back ratio spread,
Mhm.
right? So the back ratio will sell the 310s and buy one of the 320s. You get to collect all the premium from the 310s, but you're pretty sure the chart never gets above it. Here's what I would say. Whoa,
Yeah, don't see any.
that's
Yeah,
all
that's
over the
crazy. I don't see
place.
any flickering on what you're sharing.
Yeah, the call was much cheaper a minute ago, and then, well, now it's at 83. So you're looking at, if you can get it in the 70s, I'd put a limit order out there. Maybe you could get it at 65 and it would be fantastic. If it runs up and it breaches your 310, don't freak out, because this chart gives back tons of its
Okay.
move after earnings. It's just one of the natural things that it
Okay,
does.
Anne-Marie, really great stuff again here on that. Have a good rest of your truncated week. We're going to see you on Friday, right?
Of course.
All right, fantastic. Have a great rest of your
All
Tuesday,
right.
Anne-Marie. We will catch up with you on Friday. Take care. And folks, I'm going to send you over to Tech Tune Up with Paul Meeks. Sit tight. We're going to send you over there. Thanks, everyone.